Crazy.
No,
Apparently, the Giants have been told they're out.
yeah,
So
it makes sense.
cross the Giants off the list.
Didn't really have them on the list, to be honest. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm unable to connect to the Instagram. I don't know why. Again, um,
This is
let me throw. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 172 of the Salvaggio and Cratty Sports Podcast. Here on a Thursday, December 21st, 7:17 p.m. A little technical difficulties to start due to my old ass MacBook and the cursor struggling to keep up. But we're back. We got Patriots and normal football stuff to start. There's some Bruins, and for anybody who's been listening, are promised, delayed promise, I should say, due to my spur of the moment thinking. Christmas movie draft at the end. So very excited for that. The holiday season, we'd be remiss to not do something holiday related. And a couple weeks ago, Christmas movies came to mind. So who doesn't love talking about Christmas movies? It's a divisive topic, but everybody loves Christmas movies. Everybody has their favorites. I think there's a wide range of number ones, which is awesome about Christmas movies. I think the discourse is good. I think it's fun. And I'm looking forward to getting into it later in the episode. So stay tuned, whether you listen live or just listen on the podcast form or on YouTube or Twitch. Stay tuned. But before we get into anything, our pre-Christmas episode, Ryan, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry
And
Christmas.
welcome. We have our ugly sweaters on.
Yes,
Remember Merry Christmas if you're a South Park fan out there. Remember Christmas
I'm
and show
very
off
jealous of
yours.
that. I kind of want that sweater now.
Show off yours. Show off yours a little
Oh,
more.
sorry. I went more old school. I went with the Blues Brothers. They are on a mission from God, as people know who have seen the movie. Great movie, very underrated. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. Very funny.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But
Um, when you have holiday episodes, you get a little more pep in your step. I love it.
for sure,
The Patriots had a little pep in their step, I guess, at
for a little bit.
times against the Chiefs. Put a respectable game together against a team that, they are the Chiefs. They have been struggling. Depends on how you look at them. Maybe the Patriots could have won this game. I feel bad for the 9.5 betters. That was the original line. Patriots lose by 10. 27-17, and lose. And go to 3-11 on the season. Let's get into studs and duds and all the nitty gritty.
Yeah, starting with the studs, my number three. A guy that I feel like has sneakily put together a pretty good season. A guy we don't talk about a whole lot because I think up until this season he'd really been relegated to a special teamer. Hadn't really been out there a ton if he was on defense, but with some injuries, some guys not maybe playing up to standards. Mac Wilson has taken a step up on the defense and he's played well. He's taken it in stride. 2 tackles in this game. Not a crazy stat number there, but a sack, a tackle for a loss, a quarterback hit as well. Played 23 defensive snaps for 35% of them, and 19 special team snaps. That was 63% of the special team snap. His only one mistake, which I saw a lot of people, myself included, kind of was like, what are you doing? You have to capitalize on that, was the chase down tackle he had. I believe it was on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, where he could have punched the ball out and probably forced a fumble for the Patriots. Other than that, I thought he played really good in this game. He's been pretty steady the last few weeks and has put together a pretty solid second half of the season. I don't know if you agree or not, because again, this is a guy we don't really talk a whole lot about. But I thought I'd just shed a little bit or shine a little bit of light on Mac Wilson because he's played well of late.
Yeah, and I'm glad you highlighted him because I got to give credit to a friend of the program, listens when he can. Pat Snow was talking in our group chat earlier in the week about how Mac Wilson has been good, particularly in the second half of the season, and I felt the same. Not really, like a huge standout,
Hmm.
until this week. He made a couple nice plays. At this point, you're getting what you can out of him because the guy you traded for him is retired. So anything you can get from Mac Wilson is good. And this is like he wasn't this legit like every week stud when he was with Cleveland, but like this is a type of game where you're like, okay, this is what we got him for. And
Hmm.
he's a good player. He's quick. I'm not like, the greatest, pass rusher in the world for a linebacker, but like he makes plays just like a smart, serviceable linebacker. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but um I just like him. He kind of works in the shadows sometimes, but then he has weeks like this. So I guess that's really all you can ask for when you trade a guy that's now retired for him.
Who did they
So
trade for him? Why am I drawing a blank?
Winovich.
I was gonna guess Winovich. He's really retired. I thought he was on somebody's practice squad
Yeah, he
somewhere.
was on Houston early this season. He retired.
Okay, I learn
I
something new
wouldn't be
every day.
surprised if he got into like crypto or something. Seems like a crypto guy.
Weird dude.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Um, my
You're number three.
I was on your sector for a sec. Marte
Okay.
Mapu debut in the studs category, first career interception, a timely one. Got the sideline fired up. I think teammates fired up. A guy that was drafted in like a kind of hybrid expected role.
Hmm.
They play him a little more linebacker last weekend, and it works out. Cashes in. This is a guy I'm not, expecting to be Kyle Duggar, but has that player type. So to see him step up, maybe this is a sign of things to come. Maybe this was the plan all along. I don't think um, it's easy to say in retrospect, but I don't think they had huge plans for him to start the season. So it's, kind of understandable that he had a bit of a quiet start. But to see Mapu step up when needed and, relish the role he was given against the Chiefs was pretty nice. And
Yeah,
he
and a
had a
guy
pass deflection as well.
absolutely.
Only 50%, only 15 snaps to get an interception and a pass deflection. It's pretty good.
It was an impressive interception too. I can't remember who the player was he wrestled it away from, but a strong play there to be able to stick with it and pretty much a jump ball Mahomes threw. I think we were texting during the game. A guy you and I both would like to see play more. We probably think is going to get a little bit more of an opportunity down the stretch here, as you said in that hybrid role. Because again, we talked about it, last week. I think the week before. This is the point where you should be playing some of these question mark young guys that maybe you
Yeah.
took a chance on in the draft. See what you have in them. And a guy in Mapu, when he's gotten the opportunity, it seems like he's stood out pretty well, or has made some plays here or there. So a guy you hope this is kind of a springboard game from him moving forward, to
Mhm.
try to get more snaps out there and continue to play well when he does.
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well. And our 1 and 2 studs are in reverse order. And, in a season like this with the Patriots, you're kind of going to get into these scenarios where there aren't a ton of guys to work from.
Hmm.
You know, when you're putting up a lot of points, like in the Brady area, you got, a litany of guys to choose from. So the last few weeks, we've been stuck with guys like the next two that, we
Hmm.
had to pick from.
Well, we'll get into him a little later, but I think if the quarterback could put together a full football game instead of one half, like if we only limited the studs category to a half of football, Bailey Zappi would probably be on here 2 weeks in a row.
Hmm.
But a very weird situation for him these last couple of weeks. But yeah, my number two is a guy I feel like when we do the wrap up at the end of the year, for who the top three studs and duds for the entire season, Christian Barmore is probably going to be high on the studs list. It's probably the third or fourth week in a row. Either one of us, both of us this week, of course, have him on the studs list. 6 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for losses, 2 quarterback hits, 42 snaps played, 65% of them. Was excellent once again, was all over the field. Was, making stuff difficult for Patrick Mahomes, which is not easy to do. He's been great. I feel like we're kind of a broken record here at this point because it's the same stuff every week. He comes out, plays solid, and has very similar stat lines.
No, no doubt. He's for like a large part of his tenure here has been the guy he was advertised as
Mm-hmm.
from Alabama. Game wrecker, not the biggest guy as a D tackle. Sometimes you have a little more undersized guys that have that power. And he's one of those. Like, he doesn't blow you away with the size, but he's powerful. He's smart, and he makes plays. That's really all you can ask for from a young interior defensive tackle. And I love Christian Barmore.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the pick from the start, and I still love it to this day. he was one of the best players on the team this game for sure.
Absolutely. And you'd like it if he stuck around too. Again, a guy that you should be looking to extend and should have already done so because he's been very good.
Yes. Don't know why they haven't extended at least one of the young players, but I don't, I don't make the decisions. He was my number one. My number two, as is your number one, is Hunter Henry. He's been turning it up a little bit lately. Maybe this is more so usage. Maybe this is getting open more. But Hunter Henry has been better the last like 3 or 4 weeks, which is what you signed him for. Even in a down season, you want to have somebody to throw the ball to. Like you don't want to just go 3 and out every drive because, as much as you want to lose sometimes, like
You'd
that's
like
just
the game to
unwatchable
be
football.
entertaining. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, come on. And Hunter Henry, I think has gotten the short end of the stick for a lot of the year, due to usage, and that sucks because he's a good player. Mike Gesicki in the same realm, like they have just forgotten about him.
I feel like they pretty much benched him at this point. I feel like I think I said it to my dad
I
watching
don't
it. I'm like,
know,
I don't remember seeing him out there once in the last game. He was probably out there
the
to
usage
block,
of him
but
has been very bizarre,
mhm.
and I'm not going to act like I know all the details. But it, just something that sticks out as a little bizarre. But yeah, Christian Barmore and Hunter Henry. I don't know how you can pick two bigger studs in this game. And yeah, that's really about it. Free
Yeah.
agent this offseason. Don't know if he sticks around, but he'll find a role somewhere else because the Patriots have been a little dysfunctional this year. The right team will see him maybe as more of a buy low guy than he was coming into this year, and they'll sign him like a 1 to 2 year deal and get something more out of him than the Patriots did. Because he's a good player. Like real, honestly, like sometimes can be really good.
I was gonna say it. Sometimes he
Hasn't always
sticks
been
out
that way
as
for the Patriots, but
no. I was gonna say if it's not Douglas out there, I would argue that Hunter Henry might be your best player on offense with
yeah,
Stevenson hurt. Like if he's putting up production like this, and if Zappy continues to go to him like it looks like he's going to, because it seems like this is the guy he's most comfortable and familiar with. Like he's a guy that should be putting up, 5, 6, 7 catches a game and be targeting, right around the 8 to 10 range. So
yeah,
I'm happy with it. We always joke about it, crazy, what the offense looks like when you actually use the tight ends. You got another showcasing of that this week, even though if you want to knock Bailey Zappi for something other than his second half performance, there were a couple times he try to get Hunter Henry killed in this game with a couple of those hospital balls he threw his way. But Henry got back up, he took the punches. And that's why I had him, like you said, as my number one stud, because whether it was thrown to him, if he had to reach for it, he seemed to haul pretty much everything in, no matter what the conditions were. And it's what you signed him for, what you had or got out of him in his first year here. And it's good to see that starting to come around again of late.
absolutely. You want to start with the number 3 dud?
Sure. For my duds, these are not guys that are going to jump off the stat sheet by any means. But it's guys that I kind of took the caveat of you're playing the Chiefs, you can't have stupid mistakes like these guys made because you can't give the Chiefs, easy opportunities to score like they did. Alex Austin was one of those guys that did that. Was 0 for 2 in the coverage stats, so when he was, picked on, he seemed to do pretty well. But had a holding penalty that negated a fumble on just the third play of the second half. At the time, of course, the Patriots were down 14-10, would have put the ball on their own 41 and would have, had momentum right out of the gate in the second half. That killed that. Had an illegal use of hands penalty earlier in the game too. The Patriots, look, this guy's not an NFL player. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel, and I might be nitpicking here because of who the player is. But this is the position you put yourself in when you neglect the position of corner. Pretty important position in the NFL. The Patriots are consistently trotting guys like Alex Austin out there. Obviously, again, it's what they have because now you're shorthanded with the J.C. Jackson situation. You help, obviously, the best for him. Who was it? There was another corner, I think, that was pretty much benched in this game. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's
Marcus
Alex
Jones has been
Austin.
out for a while. Christian
Yep.
Gonzalez has been out for a while. You're just rolling with scraps. Sean Wade has not been reliable.
Yeah, that's who it was. I think Sean Wade was the guy that was, I think,
Um,
benched most of this game. So
yeah, this is just where they're at the corner position. Um, Tough game, first game, it really in the mix like this for Alex Austin. It just didn't go well for him. Had him as my number 2, so I echo a lot of the same points you had. Thrown in a shitty situation, could have for certainly played better, but yeah, this guy playing above his pay grade a little bit, and maybe it'll benefit him. Maybe it'll be a learning experience, but just got to put him in the duds here. Like I've said in the past few weeks, I will highlight somebody
this
who
is
just
your
doesn't
strong
do their
suit.
job. This week, he's been here before, Devon Godshaw. 62% of snaps and has one assisted tackle. Ryan, I'm not going to act like a football expert, a
Hmm.
scheme expert, but how in the name of God are you an interior defensive tackle and assist on one tackle on 62% of snaps? Like, it blows
See,
my mind.
I haven't
You
been
don't
impressed.
do anything more than that. 62% of
It
snaps.
is a big number.
Maybe there's something glaring I'm missing here,
Hmm.
but from you know, what is it? Armchair GM, armchair coach, whatever, armchair
Yep.
football watcher. Like, how can you not do more than that? Then one assisted tackle. You don't have one half sack or like
Something, a
normal
pressure,
tackle,
tackle for a
like a
loss.
QB
Yep.
pressure.
That's a good
Like,
point too. Yeah, you couldn't even factor it on a real tackle. You had to help a guy bring somebody down.
I'm gonna change this game of football by highlighting things like this. That's what I think is gonna happen.
More coaches are going to tune in and be like, we got to get guys that can actually do stuff. We can't be
Like,
having these guys that assist
seriously,
on things.
it's Devon Godshaw or Dietrich Wise, like every week. One of them has a game
Well,
like this.
Godshaw's
And
the king of it to me. Like,
it's unbelievable. I just maybe there's something glaring of misunderstanding, and I apologize if so, if there are,
mhm,
football minds out there, but like there's too consistent of a trend this year where regardless of how the game goes, you see one or two guys like this who play a good amount of snaps and do nothing.
mhm.
What's going on? Is it a Patriots thing? Does this happen with every team? Does it happen in college? Don't know. But it's just what I observe, what I watch, and what I realize is a thing when I
Mhm.
look at the game book afterwards.
My one argument I could have is, and I don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to defend Godshot here. I'm not trying to go against you because you're right. And like I said, it's mainly him that does this. Is I feel like he's more of a just heavily on the runs, and as we know, the Chiefs really don't run the football at all that much, especially not without
That's what I was
With
wondering
Pacheco
too.
out
Like,
there. But even
there's
from
got to be something with
the start,
schemes.
like even when he's out there for runs, Godshaw is not a noticeable player. It's a guy that I think
No, he's not at
myself, you
all.
might think the same way. A lot of people, I feel
I'm
like,
so glad you mentioned that because
yeah.
he's so unnoticeable. It's
Hmm.
crazy.
The other point too I was going to make, like I think we all can agree, even when the contract came out, like the extension he signed, it's like, what are you throwing the switch money at this guy for? Because of these type of performances where it's like, all right, the guy has a tackle and a half, and didn't really do a whole lot, and oh by the way, the Patriots got ran all over. So what is he actually out there for? But yeah, a guy that I've really not been impressed with from the start. Wouldn't surprise me if he puts in the final 3 or so weeks that we have left, puts together another stat line like this, and he finds his way to your duds list, to be singled out once again for his one single tackle, or in this case, assisted tackle. Um, Nitpicking again for me, going back to my dud, my number two, Brandon Schooler, another guy I think I highlighted last week. I can't remember who the player was. Might have been Ty Montgomery that I said, what is this guy on the roster for? He doesn't do anything good. He's just a special teamer and he doesn't even do that right. Brendan Schooler is taking that role this week, because he had a holding penalty on the opening play of the game, negated a 20-yard kickoff return for Jalen Reagor, who that's the only notable thing Jalen Rager's done all season. So we had to go there, taken away from him. Thought I saw on Twitter that is his fifth penalty of the season, which is insane for a special teamer. Like, that's unheard of, I feel like. He always seems to be like either getting in a fight with somebody or pissing somebody off on the outside. He's just a guy.
It's the hair.
Yeah, I just frankly I'm tired of like looking at him. Like I know that's probably like that sounds for people listening like just such like a Maz thing to be complaining about the way the guy looks. Um, but he just annoys me out there. He doesn't like bring anything to the table. And he's another one of these guys that we talked about last week when we talked about the Malik Cunningham situation. Like this is a guy you should have been able to kick off your team to keep a third. Even in this case, now with Will Greer being gone, like you should prioritize actual positions over the special teamer that hasn't made a play since what was the Jets game? Week 2 or 3 when he had that nice block kick or block punt, whatever it
Yeah.
was. That's the only thing this guy has ever done in his career. Like I said, frankly, I'm just kind of tired of his bullshit at this point.
Yeah, really outside of that, he had a good year last year as an undrafted guy.
Mhm.
The luster wore off pretty quick.
I
He
feel like it happens with
sucks.
a lot of these
He's
guys. Like
he straight up
Olszewski was the same
sucks.
way. Like had one good year or a couple good weeks,
Yeah,
and everyone's like, "Oh, look at this little find the Patriots have." And then the next year he was terrible and gone. So I think it comes with a position at this point. If you're not Matthew Slater, like
really, yeah.
it, there's no need for you.
That is in the gist of things what it comes down to. Um, yeah, he's just one of those special teams guys, I guess. I don't really have much else to add. Um, my number one dud, and it's blends in, and we have different orders here with the duds. Was Connor McDermott, which you have a soliloquy on, so I will defer to you for that.
Yeah, it was a very eventful day, and not in a good way for Connor McDermott. It had a sack, a hit allowed, a holding penalty. The hold, of course, negated the touchdown, which would have made it 14-7 Patriots. Instead, they had to settle for a field goal, which made it 10-7, and then the floodgates kind of opened after that for the Chiefs. You can really put anybody, when it comes to Antonio Mafi. City So did not have a good week this week. Cole Strange was bad once again, and of course got hurt. Outside of Andrews and Owenu, the offensive line as a whole was terrible. I feel like they couldn't really block anybody in the second half, and that might lead into, the struggles of Zappe in the second half once again. But McDermott was not good in this game. I think he was benched for who's the Vidarian Lowe again.
Yeah,
Not a
saw him at
memorable
one
name.
point.
So if you're getting, I think McDermott is got a concussion now, so maybe that kind of played into it as well. But if it didn't, if you're getting benched for Vidarian Lowe because you played that bad,
Yeah, it's tough.
that's a rough look. Like it was not good for him.
He's a guy I see, and I have no confidence in.
No, not at all. I don't know how you really could, because he's basically a
Just looking
turnstile
at the
out there.
guy, like, I hate to say it, but
Mhm.
that's gonna wrap it up for Suds and Duds. As you alluded to earlier, it was the tale of two halves for Bailey Zappi.
Any thoughts on that? Any insight as to why you think
He looked nasty in the
he
first
did?
half.
He was going toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes in the first half, which is crazy to say. Like if you're playing up to par with Mahomes at this point, like good on you. Again, came out of the gate, shot out of a cannon, which is good to see again. Like that's kind of been the big thing for me these last couple weeks is how well the team has rallied around him, which has been good. It's also led some people to kind of say like or think about how out the team was on Mac Jones, because you really never saw these type of inspired performances when
No,
Mac was out
no,
there
no,
at this point.
no.
So that's kind of crazy to say. But yeah, Zappe great in the first half again, and then the second half was absolutely putrid. Had another just completely idiotic Mac Jones-esque pick, which I kind of joked about, like, oh, at this point, let Zappe play the first half and Mac play the second to see if you can maybe get something out of that. That way, probably wouldn't work because Mac would have 2 or 3 of those bad picks. But yeah, it's been very weird. I don't know if you had any kind of thoughts on what maybe if Zappe just can't adjust in the second half, if defenses kind of figure him out, obviously in the first half, what's kind of your thought process on what we've seen out of Zappe these last couple weeks?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it because I think that's exactly it. I think he gets hot early and then lack of experience prevents him from adjusting a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, I like the guy, but he's just not very good. Like, he's not good enough to sustain these performances. It's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't
I wish
draft him
they
to be a
would.
starter. You drafted him as some interesting value,
Mm-hmm.
more of like a plug and play starter if you need him someday. Maybe he ends up somewhere else, maybe he doesn't. But he he has tools, like he's smart. I think he's relatively composed
Mm-hmm.
in the pocket, but there's not enough skill to sustain that a whole game.
That's fair.
There just
I
isn't.
was the point I was going to make is I wish they would just kind of at this point again, you're not playing for anything except draft position. Into as I think we talked about last week, maybe ruin a couple of teams' playoff hopes here and there. I wish they would just kind of if he comes out and makes a mistake in the second half, like the interception, because the same thing happened obviously in the Pittsburgh game, and that was a different circumstance because Zeke was playing so well, so you feed the hot hand at that point. But at this point, if Zappe comes out and makes a mistake, like don't go away from him, just trust him at this point. I feel like this was the prototypical like, oh, young quarterback made a dumb mistake. Let's take the ball out of his hands, play conservative. Play. To me, it felt like, and I feel like listening to some other people talk about the game, a lot of people share the same thought of like playing not to get blown out. Like you weren't playing to win this game or to try to come back. You were playing extremely conservative. Maybe that's because you don't. If you get into certain situations, you don't trust your kicker anymore. I don't know how much time we're going to spend on the idiot kicker who could have made the duds list, missing another field goal. Because again, good job trading a 4th-round draft pick for a guy you could have signed off the streets. At this point, it's a weird situation, but that's kind of where I'm at moving forward. Like he makes a mistake, it's going to happen because, like you said, he was not drafted to be a starter. Was not drafted, with a high premier pick or anything. Let the kid go out there and play, learn from his mistakes. Don't take the ball out of his hands if he, throws a bad interception here. Like you weren't going to beat the Chiefs, so just the play calling towards the end of the game in the second half and some of the decision making not going forward again. Bill Belichick kind of turtling as we've seen him do over these last couple of years in these situations. Like.
Yeah.
Just let the guy roll with the punches and see how he responds to it. Taking the ball out of his hands is not going to help anything.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. It's like it's a situation where there's no really perfect outcome unless he turns into a god.
Hmm.
So you kind of gotta go with what you got. At this point, like I think Chad Ryland's got to go after this year already.
Hmm.
I wanted to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. There's been some wind involved. There's been weather.
Yep, you did bring this up the other day when we were talking about it off air.
I just don't think he's a good kicker. Like that's where I've gone at this point. And I want it to be good because they traded up 8 spots in the fourth round for him. There was clearly some buy-in here.
Hmm.
This is the guy we want. I don't get an aura of confidence from him at all. When I look at him, when they show those close-up shots, I see a guy that looks nervous,
Hmm.
and I don't like it. Like in a year when you suck, it's not that bad. Maybe he bounces back next year. I hope for his sake they give him a chance because that would suck to like spend a 112th overall pick for nothing. But like right
Would be right at the
now,
Patriots
I
alley
don't
though.
I don't see a kicker with a lot of confidence. Maybe
Yeah,
that
I
changes,
mean,
but it sucks. It sucks to witness because I'm rooting for the guy.
mhm.
He plays an important position on the team, but
Yeah, I mean, even when he makes, I was talking about this with my dad the other day, even when he makes kicks, like they are nail biter, hold your breath, like they are hooking towards either one of the posts. Like they are
I don't
nothing
know,
about what
man.
he does is
It's
pretty.
bad.
So
No,
there's,
it's not.
I joked about it a few weeks ago, like I think when, baseball was still going on, that he might have a better curveball than any pitcher the Red Sox have currently on the roster because
Seriously.
every kick is a dog leg left or right or however you want to call it, or a slice right. Like it is not pretty. So like you said, you
No,
hope
it's
for his
not.
sake he figures it out. Because it would suck to see like the kid come in for 1 year, he struggles and cuts bait. So maybe this is the best year to have these type of struggles where everything else has just been so bad.
Yeah.
Like you just roll with it and
Yeah.
see if he bounces back next year. Maybe bring somebody in to put a little bit of heat on his neck to see if he can straighten some things out. No pun intended. Um, but it is.
Ah,
I see what I did there.
like the
Um,
the duck or the goose, whoever in Family Guy. Who
yeah,
is it?
yep,
Ah,
yeah. The ostrich. Yep.
the ostrich. Oh,
Aha.
I was
Yep.
wrong. Over 2.
You missed it on both
Ah,
birds. But yeah, you kind of hope you can figure at least the last couple weeks, 2 of the year, try to figure some things out moving forward. Because like you said, it is an important position. Um, as I said though, it is an interchangeable position, so it really comes down to the whole, as we talked about before, the fourth round pick thing that you're never going to be able to not bring back up because if it doesn't figure it out, it does look bad when again you have all these rest of these kickers across the league. Some of them playing pretty well that were undrafted. So
yeah, no doubt.
yep.
Um, yeah, I think we aligned pretty well in this game.
Mhm.
If you want to start the Broncos preview, I have to run to the bathroom real quick, so I will defer to you.
Okay, I got to scroll down to the outline and to find that. Yeah, Denver coming off a pretty bad loss on Saturday. The Saturday games, of course, started last week, and they got absolutely pantsed by the Detroit Lions, 42-17. A team, obviously not as in a bad situation as the Patriots are, but there's been some good, there's been some bad with the Broncos. Of course, there's been a lot more good of late. A team that comes in, again, off the loss, but playing pretty well for the betting people out there. Broncos open up as a 6-point favorite at home on Christmas Eve. Over under is 36.5, kind of a tough line there. With both these offenses going into the game struggling, Broncos averaging 21.7 points, 25.1 against. Patriots, of course, as we know, their offensive struggle is 13.3 points per game, but giving up 21.4. Broncos, they're pretty solid on offense. Russell Wilson has had a bounce back season. Guy Mike and I have been, pretty impressed with, kind of bouncing back to obviously not Russell Wilson of old, but looking pretty good at times. 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Has been running the ball more, which I think I said either last week or a couple weeks ago. That's kind of been my thing with his success is he has, been more mobile, which has helped him a little bit. Running back situation, not a three-headed monster on the running backs. But Javonte Williams has been good. Jaleel McLaughlin, when he's gotten his chances, I saw Samaje Perine. I don't know if he practiced today, Mike. I don't know if you saw the latest talking about Denver's offensive kind of weapons, quote unquote. What are your thoughts on the running back, Russell Wilson? We talked about him, in the game recaps over the last couple weeks. A guy that has looked like he has found some form a little bit. Is he a guy you think is going to be a difference maker in this game? What's your kind of where are you on Russell Wilson right now? Because he did not look good last week. He turned kind of back into the Russell Wilson at the start of the year.
Ryan,
Yes.
I have potentially bad news.
That's not good.
Producer of the Pat McAfee show, Ty Schmidt, 209,000 followers, says, hearing from very reliable sources that Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going to the Yankees for 9 years and $326 million.
I do not see that anywhere on Twitter.
Very much unconfirmed. I will send you the tweet.
Okay.
Don't know what his sources are like, but if he's got 200,000 plus followers,
I was
I'm
wondering
taking
why you
it.
were so down coming back. I thought we had a football thing. Oh, that's not surprising in the slightest then.
Something to
But
monitor. Something to monitor.
yeah, I was just gonna
Um,
say with how we talked about it, I think I told you right before we jumped on air here, with how unreliable baseball has been, seeing that there are all reports that he was supposed to be at the Rams game tonight with Shohei Ohtani, and then
not
10 minutes
true. Yeah.
later, yeah, that came out to be not true. It's been a horrendous offseason for baseball news. So, with nothing happening, and then when it does happen, it's wrong half the time. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. But that is not a good way to start the rest of the football segment for sure.
No. Pats-Broncos though. Um, think this game will be close. I think it is winnable, despite the Broncos' resurgence over the last 8 or 9 weeks. I feel like my mic is super loud. Let me turn this down real quick. Um, sorry if I'm quiet as a mouse now, but I feel like super loud in my headphones. Um, over under 36.5. I don't know if you mentioned these things,
Yep.
because I was in the bathroom, but um, the Broncos have a whole lot of like talent that gets them to surface level
Hmm.
that makes pretty much any game at this point winnable. And Russell Wilson is not blowing you away, but he's also not Russell Wilson from last year. So you're
Hmm.
getting a serviceable quarterback with experience, a solid enough defense, sans Bradley Chubb from last year. I believe they had Zach Allen from Arizona as well. I don't know if he's still on the team. They're good enough. And that's pretty interesting given the fact that Jerry Jeudy has not panned out. Um, you think if they were to make a run this year, Jerry Jeudy would be a huge part. Close to 600 yards, but he has one touchdown. The guy can't make big catches from what I've gathered this year. Um, Portland Sutton's been the main guy, 10 touchdowns. Um, if you're just figuring out he got 10 touchdowns, he's had 10 touchdowns this season. Joined the club from maybe a couple days ago when I looked at the outline for the first time. Um, they're a weird team. Like, there's really no way to be like, there's this one guy that you have to look out for. They just have enough depth on offense and a good enough defense to keep you on your toes. And they're a team perfectly designed for close, lower scoring games.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of touching on this right before you came back. Like you said, Russell Wilson has been good, not great. They have obviously not needed him to be great, but like he's not a guy I feel like at this point in his career that you kind of fear going into this game. Like you're not gonna sit. You obviously have to game plan for him, but you're not sitting there going, there's so many ways he can beat us." Um, had been playing well up until that Lions game, so I'm curious to see what kind of Russell Wilson you get coming into this game. Like, do you get the 3-pick Russell Wilson from last week? Do you get a guy that, like I had said before you came back, has been running more? That has made him a little bit more dangerous, as we've seen in the past. As I said, to their running backs, a nice little trio there, but Patriots do pretty well against running backs. Javonte Williams, how much of a game is he going to have? So two kind of similar teams. Like obviously the Broncos offense has not been as bad as the Patriots offense has been. But they're not a team that's really going to blow you away on paper. Two pretty solid defenses. So I feel like you said, it could be a pretty close game that's pretty evenly matched in a lot of situations and a lot of positions.
Yeah, like this is not an entirely losable game for the Patriots, which is
Mm-hmm.
not always the case these days. So would I like to see them win? Sure, I guess. Like to see something like
It's a game though. Like I have the usually for the people that don't know for the outline and everything when we do this, like I always try to put in like something to watch out for in this game, like something that's gonna stand out. Is there really anything though? Like I don't know how you feel about the Christmas Eve games because I've seen some people that are like, oh, you shouldn't be playing on Christmas Eve, like just kind of let it go as is. Um, Sunday Night Football, Christmas Eve, Patriots, Broncos. How much of this game at that point in the day you're going to be watching? Like this, I've heard some people say is a great like background game while you're doing other things.
Gonna
Obviously, as
be
we're going to get
tough.
into a little later, there are plenty of Christmas movies you could be watching at this time with your family, friends, whatever. Um, how much of this game are you actually going to watch? So that's why it's like, what is there really to watch out for? Because I don't know how many people are going to really be sitting down, diving and tuning into this game to watch. Not a great week of football really as a whole. There's only a couple of really good games here and there. So again, Christmas Eve, I don't know how many people are going to be really tuning into this uh, very thoughtfully.
Yeah, I think there's one or two Thanksgiving, Christmas games every year that you're like kind of just like, it's not gonna be that
I
exciting, but
could
it's
watch
football.
it, but I could
Yeah,
also do something else. Like,
background noise, exactly
mhm.
like you said. Um, it's really how it is. Uh, they do have Zach Allen, Pat Surtain, Justin Simmons, Alex Singleton has been a monster. Josie Jewell, we know, anybody that's been paying attention, he's a solid under the radar guy. But overall, this isn't a super crazy defense. Like, not the Broncos defense of the years past, but um, even when they've been winning more games, partially due to their offense and Russ stepping it up, I still think of them as a defensive identity team. Um, if their offense is lining you up, their defense is gonna at least make it difficult. They're a weird team to game plan for, and at this point in their tenure, the past few years, they have Sean Payton, which adds another element. So you have to game plan for him. And it sets up for a really shitty, gross, relatively low scoring game. And I think it is going to be Broncos 23 and Patriots 13.
So you're the
Nice
Patriots
classic
losing by
score.
10 once again.
Yeah,
Some
I
some
just,
people would say that's maybe not a blowout, but double digits.
yeah, I don't
It's tough.
know. Like, I can't, I need to see a really, really bad Broncos defense to
Hmm.
be like, okay, they're not gonna slow things down a little bit because that's just in their nature.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. Like I was looking again, was keeping my eye on the over under for this game. Wanted to pick the under and was trying to figure out a score that would do that. Because I think the Broncos will put up a decent amount of not decent, but some points. I think they'll bounce back in this game. The Patriots, I feel like you'll get the same kind of Patriots you've got in the last 2 weeks. You get a hot start, maybe a touchdown early if they get the ball first, uh,
That would be very
and then
classic.
kind of taper off in the second half. Again, maybe you get Zappy throws an interception, they turn the ball over, and they take the ball out of his hands. So I'm going to go with Broncos 20, Patriots 16, close score. Um, but in the end, again, like you said, a game the Patriots probably should be able to win. But with what they've done, the mistakes they've made this season, you don't have a lot of confidence in these games, as we talked about earlier in the year. The games they should win are the ones that they tend to struggle the most in, it seems like this year. So both of us taking Patriots losses once again, ever inching closer to hopefully a top 3 draft pick or maybe even number 1 at this point, because the Panthers proved us wrong last week and somehow picked up a win, which was crazy. The week
Which
that you
is
said it, that you wanted to pick them, and I said it might come back to bite us in the ass at some point. They'll probably spoil somebody. Look what happened.
absolutely fucking classic.
Classic that it was
Um,
the Falcons too. Like just a complete suckbag team. Like
yeah, and the good thing about me is for the week 16 pick'em, I didn't forget to put in my picks. I'm
you did
definitely not
not.
putting them in now.
You were not. Yeah, not
Um,
how I asked to do that. Absolutely not.
so yeah, I'll finish those up once we get to week 16 pick. I'm putting a couple of them now.
Hmm.
Let's recap, shall we?
Let's do it. We were
Nobody
on
predicted this.
when this travesty
Nobody.
took place. Yeah.
There's not a person in the world that predicted a game like this. Anybody who says otherwise is lying.
Hmm.
Raiders 63, Chargers 21. Aiden O'Connell throws for 4 touchdowns and no picks. Jacoby Myers throws a touchdown pass for fun. Also, takes one in on his own for a passing touchdown. Samir White scores. Brandon Bolden scores. Devontae Adams scores. Michael Mayer scores. Trey Tucker scores twice.
On 3
The
catches,
defense
pretty
is good.
efficient day.
Jack Jones, old friend, had one of the coolest pick sixes ever. Reached back. Does this make you wonder what maybe could have been for the Raiders if you're a Raiders fan, or is this a flash in the pan?
See, I want to say what could have been because that head coach has done really good for them so far, and I think again we've talked about it when the coaching change happened. Like if the Raiders make the same mistake they made a couple years ago with Bisaccia and not keeping this guy, I can't think of his name, so my apologies there. But if they don't keep the new guy around because it seems like it has worked well for them, then they're just as dumb as they were a couple years ago. And I think it says more about the Chargers though, just being completely dead in the water. Obviously they fire everybody. It seems like at the end of this game, finally, this is the thing that does Brandon Staley in, which I'm happy about because as people know, I have been high on the Chargers for a couple years now. I think he is what has held them back. Obviously now without Justin Herbert, that puts a damper on their season. It all just came to a head finally, and this game was just the epitome of everything. No Keenan Allen now; he's out. It sucks for you, sucks for me now in fantasy. Because I
Oh,
have
I'm
him
out.
and
I'm out. I don't care.
oh, did you? Okay, well, I didn't keep track
I'm
of
out.
our league last week, so then
I'm
it is
out.
not as oh, it was bad for you last week. It's bad for me this week in my other league. So that's the point I'm trying to make. He's out again. The Charger season is over. It's been over, and I think that's kind of what this just came down to this week. Impressive win though by the Raiders. To like you may have predicted a Raiders win, like you said though. You didn't predict them to put 63 points up on the board and
No,
have
no, no,
what
no.
42 at halftime, with 42 to nothing or 42 to whatever it was at halftime. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, quick breaking news, Merrimack news. Former Minnesota State hockey commit Parker Lalone flips to Merrimack. So
Hmm.
it's the week of National Signing Day in the college football world and transferring, but the Merrimack Warriors are guys. Plenty of transfers. Shout out to them.
I have some
This game
John
was
Heyman news to counter your Yamamoto
oh,
news from
oh,
earlier. Again, don't
oh.
know if it's true because baseball has been a crapshoot this offseason. But 3 minutes ago, he said the Yankees have made a significant bid on Yamamoto, but at this point, they haven't heard one way or the other. So,
What does
as
he
of
know?
right
What does Pat
now,
McAfee's guy know? What does he
Mr.
know?
Yamamoto has not signed. Red
Fuck,
Sox
dude.
still have a sliver. And I say a sliver because I don't think they're going to sign him. I don't think they're that interested.
$1 million. $1 million. They spent $1 million. Not gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
Raiders beat the absolute ever living shit out of the Chargers. Let's move on. We get the gist here at this
Yep.
point. Vikings and Bengals. Pretty. I'm not gonna say like everybody could have predicted this, but I think that this is the exact type of game everybody should have expected.
Back and forth.
Barring the crazy like outside chance we get Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson both go 100 plus yards, a bunch of touchdowns. That wasn't super likely with Jefferson coming off an injury
Mm-hmm.
recently. But like this is a relatively entertaining game. Nick Mullins showed us something despite the two picks. Overall was pretty solid. Offensive line didn't help him a ton. Neither did Jake Brownings. They got sacked 7 times combined. Cincinnati's defense showed up. Ty Chandler had a great game. Jordan Addison had a great game. That's gonna help, for the Vikings trying to make these runs. If Justin Jefferson isn't peak Justin Jefferson going late to the regular season, because that hasn't been the case so far. So, no, it validates that Jordan Addison picked more. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's a legit stud. Pretty game breaking speed, and this is a good win for the Bengals because both of these teams are in pretty similar situations, and the Bengals pulled it out in overtime. Money McPherson, it's the game winner. And yeah, good solid game.
Yeah, absolutely. I was surprised it was as close as it was because I think we talked about when we did the preview when I saw Nick Mullins on the schedule and didn't really have a whole lot of confidence in the Vikings to keep this thing close. I thought, especially with how Browning, how well he had been playing, how good the Bengals had looked, thought this would be more of a blowout. But like you said, it showed you something. Even though the two picks with Mullins, maybe the Vikings have a little bit of juice moving forward. To try to sneak into one of those last playoff spots. Bengals, it gets harder now with Jamar Chase. We found out the other day his separated shoulder. He's going to miss time. So T. Higgins is going to have to, step up and put together another game like this. The 2 touchdowns, the crazy stretch that he had to send the game into overtime. He's the guy that's obviously going to look to get paid in the offseason and now has a chance to try to, pad his stats here and make a couple extra bucks before the season comes to an end.
Yeah, it was funny going into this week. I was talking about, T. Higgins, PFF released an article about like top 50 free agents. Um, and the big thing for T. Higgins will be whether he gets tagged or not. It was an option for the Patriots. So after that, solidified, even with injuries this year, how much I want T. Higgins. The Patriots are going to have top 3 most cap space. With Bill Belichick, I'm not as optimistic, but if they change the guard there at GM, I don't think you should hesitate to throw 18 to 19 million at T. Higgins per year if you need to. You desperately need a number one receiver. He's young enough, he's talented enough, and he's one of those guys where he enters the situation as a number 2 receiver, and he's talented enough to be a number 1. And if you take that chance and he becomes that guy, you look like a genius. So
Absolutely.
maybe it's him, maybe it's Michael Pittman, who is back in the mix despite getting absolutely torched by Demonte Kazee, which segues this perfectly into our next game, 30-13 Colts. Kazee is done for the year, which I saw Brady and Gronk replying hastily to.
We're
I don't know if
not
hastily
happy
is the
with.
word.
Yeah.
I disagree with both of them. I think that was a pretty bad and dumb and unnecessary hit.
Mm-hmm.
I think head contact is bad in the game. I think it can ruin careers. And for a team like the Steelers, they lose a secondary guy. Good record, but like, who gives a shit? Set a standard. Don't hit people in the head. Don't go down out of your way to hit people in the head.
Mm-hmm.
It's really that simple to me.
Especially when the
But
guy's laying
the
out
good
too.
thing
Like you
about
can
me
see
too
him
is I know
stretching
more
out.
about football than either of those guys. So they can't really argue if they want to come on the podcast and discuss.
They can
They
try.
can,
Yeah, they
but
can try and
I
argue.
don't know. I just simply know more ball. Kidding, of course, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I see no problem with suspending him the rest of the season for that. It was a bad hit, injured the player, unnecessary, completely avoidable,
You
dangerous.
got to set a standard somewhere. There's only 3 weeks left in the season, so it's not like you're going to suspend the guy a week and be like, all right, go back out there and do it again. Like, and again, there's certain situations where I'm not saying that it's okay to advocate for a hit like that, but there's more of a defense of like, okay, it's a bang bang play. Like maybe the guy didn't have a chance to adjust, or always people talk about that. This one, no, you have no leg to stand on arguing for the play. The Pittman was completely stretched out. Like the guy is as vulnerable gets in that spot. You got to find a way to ease up there and not full on, like you said, head to head the guy.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Yep.
Um,
It's a bad play
Colts,
for a bad team. The Steelers suck. Like there's
yeah.
no other way around it.
Excuse me. Yeah, Colts took care of business, and it's funny because the Steelers started out hot. I think they were up by 2 touchdowns, 13-0. They might have went up 30 unanswered points. Could be wrong,
I think you
but
might be right. I think I remember sitting at dinner
yeah,
seeing that. I'm like, wow, how the Steelers up 13-0 on the Colts, and then it was just an avalanche for the Colts.
yeah, and the defense showed up. Shout out to I don't know how to say this guy's name. It's like Deo Odieningbo, something like that, and Abukum, Samson Abukum both had a sack and a half. Amongst a nice day for the Colts defense. Broncos and Lions. This is the game that we've been waiting for the Lions. Things have been a little dysfunctional. The Lions did it. Maybe this is a blueprint for the Patriots, despite being a very different team than the Lions.
Not
But
as not as
maybe
much
there
talent.
maybe there are some lessons they can take from this. I imagine they will. I saw Ben Johnson is apparently looking for $15 million a year in his next contract. Whether that comes to the Patriots as a replacement for Bill Belichick is yet to be determined. And it's very classic that although this wouldn't have won me my matchup, I dropped Jared Goff for Sam Howell, who replaces CJ Stroud for me. Jared Goff throws 5 touchdown passes. Wouldn't have won me my
Hate
matchup
to see it.
anyways. Jameer Gibbs is a fucking beast. I bet on him longest rush anywhere from 12 to 14 and a half over. Like 3 or 4 times this year. He hits every time. He's money. He's a significant open field threat. He's so fast. He's so fun to watch. And my God, if the Lions keep this through, they're going to be fun to watch. At the very least, this is a fun year for the Lions, a building block
Absolutely.
year. And if they keep this up and they make the right moves, the Lions are an NFC championship contender next year. If not this year, if they really figure it out, keep this
Mm-hmm.
going. We know David Montgomery does not get talked enough. He's been very solid when he's healthy. St. Brown, we know what the deal is with him. Sam Laporta, I wish on this podcast and on Twitter I beat the drum more for Sam Laporta because the second I saw him drafted, an Iowa tight end going
to
to a
to the
team that
Lions.
traded TJ Hawkinson.
Yep.
The writing was on the wall with Sam Laporta. Unless they just didn't use him, an Iowa tight end slotting into a number one tight end role, like I feel bad for people who didn't buy into him because it was there, and I wish in retrospect was more vocal about it because he's money. He is money, and
He's
it's
a
not
guy
every
that,
week, but like I feel like he's reliable. When
yeah.
you need a big catch from him, he gets it. Every once in a while, he has a really big game, and he's young. Like he's not this consistent guy yet, but Sam Laporta is fucking good, and
Mhm.
he's real. He's a top 5 tight end for the next 7 to 8 years minimum at this rate. He's the real deal.
I was gonna say at this point, I feel like he's a guy that should be getting a little bit more, maybe because I feel like I haven't heard his name come up at all. Maybe because people aren't really talking about awards yet, and it's probably the offensive rookie of the year might be obvious with C.J. Stroud, but like I feel like Sam Laporta, especially after this game, should probably have his name in that consideration a little bit more than he maybe did at the start of the year going into this game. Because like you said, he's been solid. He's had these big performances here and there. Now the question is, because he consistently put it together, week after week. But then again, the question is, does he need to? Because the Lions, when they're playing like this, when they're rolling like this, might have one of the most all-around, well-rounded offenses in football.
He's
Like
so good.
he
He's
really is.
so good.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, they have two very good running backs. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs both kind of complement each other very nicely. Two, different styles. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a definite number one receiver. He is phenomenal.
Mm,
I put him up there with some of the better ones in the league. Laporta is, like you said, is coming on strong. And Goff, when he has games like this, it looks like he can go toe to toe with
yeah.
anybody. So they figure out their offensive line a little bit more. Again, the defense still coming along with the Lions, like you said, are a fun team that I feel like unless you're not a fan of the Lions, just like again, you're a Vikings fan or someone like that. I feel like a lot of people should be rooting for the Lions because of what they obviously had to go through. To be where they are now has been quite fun to watch this season.
No, I agree. If they can put it together, it's gonna be fun.
Mhm.
Uh Panthers 9, Falcons 7. If I expected a Panthers win to happen, I didn't expect it to be a 9-7 score. It might
Really?
be,
Because I would have expected that. Like I would have expected 6-3 at this point.
I would expect it more like a 16-13, which is like 7-9 adjacent.
Hmm.
Um, Shout out to Chris Berman. I don't know if I've ever talked to about Chris Berman. I would die for that man. Fast 3 minutes every
Seems
week.
excessive.
He's the best. He is an absolutely delightful human being. Fastest 3 minutes is awesome. Eddie Pinheiro bread was such a layup for him this week, and topical, as I tweeted, with the charged lemonade, either
Right.
fucking people up to
I think
oblivion
it
or
killed two people, didn't it?
unfortunately killing
Yeah.
people. But boom is topical, if anything. Like he just gets it. Um, God, I could listen to Fastest 3 minutes every week for the rest of my life. I love that man. Um, Eddie Pinheiro bread is the entire Panthers offense in this game.
Hmm.
Um, Wins the game for the Panthers. The Seahawks winning affects strength of schedule for the Patriots. They have the same strength of schedule percentage. So, that will change
It's
if the
interesting.
Panthers win another game and get to 3 with the Patriots, but just something to monitor. Changes up the balance of things there in the strength of schedule percentage, which has a very big impact on draft order. Chuba Hubbard was money. You know, how much did he need to be? I guess he did
Yeah,
because of
exactly. He
the
put him in
field
good
goals.
position to kick those field goals.
Field
That's
goal,
about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The field goal positioning, but not punching it in. What else is there to say? Like, shout out to Eddie Pinheiro, I guess.
Hmm.
Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing else.
Nope, this is the same from last week. Nope, not going to talk about this anymore than we have to because there really isn't anything else other than the play of Pinheiro.
Yeah, I mean, I love games like this every once in a while, though. You need them to balance things out and make
Really?
it.
You're the only person on the
No, to make you
planet.
chuckle. To make you chuckle,
Okay,
you
I
know?
guess. Yeah, you need a 3-0 game every once in a while. You want to go that extreme?
No comment.
I was gonna say,
Um,
don't say yes.
Browns and Bears. Browns 20, Bears 17. Amari Cooper, another good game. David Njoku, as one of the more underrated stories of the season. So quietly, depending on where you're looking, but extremely good season for David Njoku. And this has been kind of this guy for the last couple of years, like, David Njoku is pretty good, but like, can he do it consistently? This year he's done it pretty consistently, and they have fed him the rock. Maybe that is in part due to Deshaun Watson. He's a more reliable guy, been around. If not, I think at the very least, David Njoku is establishing himself as a very legit tight end of the league,
Absolutely.
very
Yep.
consistent. Not the quickest guy by any means, but he's powerful and he's strong. He gets open. Sometimes that's all you need is a tight end. So shout out to the Browns. Like, I wasn't high on the Browns this year with Deshaun Watson, and I had them winning 7 games, and they have already eclipsed that with scraps at quarterback, and Grant Delpit's been hurt. They've had a couple other guys I don't remember off the top of my head. Some injuries on defense, which is their strength at this point, especially without their highly paid quarterback in the mix. This just comes down to me to good coaching, and I think right now Kevin Stefanski might be the favorite for Coach of the Year.
Ooh, you could argue that, I think.
Right now, this team should not be this good. They shouldn't be.
I still
The
want to hold out
defense
hope for
carries
Houston.
them.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. D'Amico Ryans has a very strong case.
Yep.
Who else?
Who's the Colts
Anyone
head
else
could
out there? Steichen could be
argue
in
him.
there.
Yep.
I don't know. I think Stefanski is a pretty good case right now.
Yeah, I
What do you
think
think?
those might be three of your top guys because like again the Browns at the start of the year like you said it was their defense mainly winning them a lot of games. Now that there's injuries on the defense, they're still finding ways to win games. You could make the case flat out that Stefanski could win just for I don't know how much he has had on the input for a guy like Joe Flacco, but the fact that Joe Flacco is still a functioning quarterback and comes out and didn't have his best performance he's had since joining the Browns, but is still finding ways to help Cleveland win games. That right there alone, I think, is something that could definitely put him into consideration. But the Browns, we talked about it a couple of times. They are right now the definition of a scrappy football team. They are scratching, clawing, finding ways to win games. At this point in the year, that's all you can ask trying to get into the playoffs and make maybe a miraculous. I'm not saying the Browns are going to make a deep run here, but you never know. They could get lucky. Things could work out a certain way. They get in.
Yeah.
They are hot right now. So
Yeah, and I wonder how much excuse me, how much a game like this has an effect on the Bears with their first round picks going forward.
that was
With
my
Justin
thought too
Fields'
coming out of this
performance.
game. He was not good in this game at all.
Yeah, I think Justin Fields is worthy of another year if you're comfortable with that. But
it's such a tough
this is a
spot,
team
though.
with
This
two
this
potentially
draft.
top
Yeah.
5 picks.
Yep.
If you're not in this Bears situation, if you're like the Steelers, who are rumored to potentially maybe trade for him, or the Falcons,
I'd hate him.
maybe you give him
Steelers.
another year. With the Bears, with 2 top 5 picks, unless you trade out of one of them, I think you have to take that shot on a guy like Caleb Williams. Patrick Mahomes type of player, a little bit crazy, lets it rip a little bit aggressively at times. He's a little bit explosive, a little bit high octane. Don't really know what the word is here, if there's one way to define it. But I think we get 2 top 5 picks. You have to take a quarterback, even if it's like Jaden Daniels at 5. Like, if you're the Bears,
it's a weird spot.
at the very least, you're getting a quarterback that could be better on cheaper money until his rookie contract expires.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Like, it's very much a week by week thing for the Bears, though. It can change at any instant. Buccaneers 34, Packers 20. Is this the game that solidifies Baker Mayfield getting another contract with the Bucs or not? Because I kind of feel like it is.
I think they'd be dumb to let him walk. I mean, he's going to probably get a decent amount of money in the offseason, but they would be stupid to let him walk.
Yeah, you have to take what you can get, even if he's a bridge guy post Brady. And it'd be kind of shitty to let him go at this point.
It really would be, because what has he really done wrong? I'm not a huge Baker Mayfield guy. I really haven't been, but I mean, he's been good this year. He has not done anything.
going into this year, maybe more so like not as close to the season in the summer, like
Mm.
this is probably his last chance. Like to be
Yeah, I
a
wouldn't.
consistent starter.
Yeah, wouldn't
Like
argue
this
that.
was it. New team, post Brady, a little bit of pressure from that.
Mm.
Like if he is serviceable enough, he's at least going to be a low end starter on some team, if not the Bucks, for the next
Mm.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I call me crazy. I wouldn't hate him on the Patriots in the same situation.
I wouldn't
Like
either.
bridge
I
year,
wouldn't
year or
either.
two to get somebody ready. I would take that in a heartbeat if he's going to play like this.
An ideal situation, if you're out of Drake May range, is Jaden Daniels and 1 year of Baker Mayfield, I think, at this point.
Wouldn't hate that at all.
If
Like
they
I
had the
really
three
wouldn't.
pick, I would take Jaden Daniels over Marvin Harrison Jr. Might be controversial.
I would think it would
Um,
be a
and have Baker Mayfield as a bridge. That's just me. I
okay.
think Jaden Daniels is good enough. I think the rapid ascension of Jaden Daniels is very prevalent here as well. I think he very well could have had a pretty pedestrian, or not pedestrian, but like less explosive year at LSU,
Hmm.
and still like been like, oh, like this guy, he's good. He's at LSU. He's got the connection with Malik Neighbors. Maybe he's an early second, like we were talking about 2 months ago. Now he's in the first round, and I've come more around to if they are 3, 4 range at the end of the year to Jaden Daniels. But if it's 1 and 2, I'm taking Williams or May.
Hmm.
Um, Baker Mayfield to be a Patriot at some point is a very specific situation. So maybe we're overthinking it right now. Maybe this is more of a topic a month from now or so. But that's where we're at. Good win over the Packers. Rashad White has really come along as the season's going along. Chris Godwin has best game of the year. Jordan Love was solid on the other side. Still don't know entirely how to feel about him, but
Hmm.
he's had some performances, and my God, it's just so funny to see all the rookies, when they do have performances in the post Aaron Rodgers era, where I think they literally loaded up on young players out of spite. Dontayvion Wicks, 97 yards. Um, Tucker Kraft, 57 and a touchdown. Jayden Reed, 52 and a touchdown. I think this is full spite from the Packers.
It'd be
Like I
funny
think
if
they
it
hated
was.
them.
It
I think they
really
hated.
would
I
be.
think they hated Rodgers' bullshit at the end. They dra- they drafted, I think, 6 pass catchers.
I do remember, yeah, hearing something very similar to that. If I don't know if the number is right or not, but
Can't be a
yeah,
coincidence.
no,
Can't be.
not in the slightest. That is funny. But yeah, I mean, this
And
is I
when,
feel like
yeah,
this is kind of where the Packers are at right now. You hit the nail on the head. They're very young. They're gonna have weeks where they look really good, weeks where they look really bad, and then weeks like this kind of in between. So they're up and coming. I'm not fully out on Love. He's kind of followed that same mold. Has really good weeks, has really bad weeks. They're a work in progress. They're gonna be close to a 500 team for obviously this year, and then maybe next as they try to figure some things out. But the big thing is it looks like a guy like Jaden Reed is at least starting to kind of blossom with Watson
yeah,
hurt.
he's awesome.
He's looking like he's blossoming into a real threat on that team. And that's obviously good for them because they said it on the broadcast too. I caught some of this game where they were talking about how young they are. It's been a struggle because there really isn't a huge de facto number one in that room. If he can take that reins, make some things easier, the Packers are obviously building towards something.
Yeah, Jaden Reed is the real deal. Um, it helps as a young receiver, especially more and more as time goes along, when you have that backfield ability that he does.
Mhm.
Like he's not just a pure
He's their
receiver.
Debo. I think I said it last week. Like he
Mhm.
is a pretty decent comp. I feel like to Debo Samuel. Obviously not the level of Debo yet,
No,
but
yeah, yeah, I
he's got
gotcha.
that skill set. You can see glimpses of it here and there.
No, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. I like him. Ever since that like first touchdown he scored early in the season, I'm like, this kid's pretty good.
Mhm.
It looks like the real deal, but we'll see after that. I'm trying to shift the football game onto my monitor off to the side here. Jets and Dolphins. No Tyreek Hill.
No
I
problem.
sprinkled a very small amount of money on Jets money line just in case.
Ooh.
Did not hit. Did not expect it to be 30 to nothing. did not expect the Jets to win per se, but just did it just for the value, see if it happened,
What were they
make
at?
a little money. When I took them, they were like plus 280, even without
Okay.
Tyreek. I was like, yeah, throw a small amount of that, make us a little small little profit. But the Dolphins, does this change them being a finesse bitch team to me? No.
No, not the slightest.
No,
Absolutely
no, no,
not.
no. In the end of the day, folks, still the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, there's
I'm
no other way
really
around it.
trying to get this game
Like,
going on Amazon Prime here. It's struggling here.
you hate to see it. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. This game did nothing for me for the Dolphins. This is the team you should come out and smack in the Jets, especially when, Zach Wilson obviously turned back into Zach Wilson. He got hurt. You ended up dealing with Trevor Siemian. The the Jets are what they are. Like, they're going to ride out the stretch here. I'm so glad that, again, people who know me, all the talk about Aaron Rodgers coming back. I was rooting for the field, rooting for another injury, but it looks like he is going to be done for the year. So, hopefully we don't have to hear any more
Crazy how
about
that
him.
works.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
happy we don't have the bullshit of him being like, "Oh, you look, my methods work." Like I
Yeah,
hate the
my
vaccine.
hippy
Like
dippy. Yeah,
I don't give a
exactly.
shit what do you care about the vaccine, dude. Like just shut up. Like
Yeah,
you like doing ayahuasca. Like
yeah.
whether you like the vaccine or not, I don't care, man. Just you
hmm
just shut up. Like I kind of blame Pat McAfee for enabling him, but
Yeah, a
it
little
gets
bit.
clicks, so I don't really hate on him for it.
hmm
Um, gotta do what you gotta do. Not a Pat McAfee hater by any means, but he loves getting Aaron Rodgers on the show, and I understand why. Um, Saints 24, Giants 6. Tommy DeVito.
Tommy
Is
Cutlets took
the
a
era
hit in this
already
game.
over?
Yeah, it's the aura of Tommy Cutlets may have taken a hit in this one.
We've had a lot of stuff about appearances, prices being cut down, him showing up for free, not looking good. His agent listened to him on PMT was just everything I hope for. He's from Salem, Mass as well. He's a Mass guy. Shout out, did not know that. Um, Derek Carr, not confident in him, but played pretty good in this game.
He
Pretty
did give credit where
efficient.
credit's due.
23 for 28, 218, and 3 touchdowns, no picks. The defense showed up, which is nice for the Saints. It's been their identity at times in the past few years. 7 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 8 QB hits, and 5 pass deflections, rather. They allowed 133 net passing yards and 60 rushing yards, 2 for 16 on third down conversions. And as you've noted here, amongst those other stats, Tano Passignon, 3 sacks, 6 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits is superhuman.
I think it's safe to say game of that guy's career. No
Shout
doubt
out to
about
the
it.
Saints, man.
Absolutely,
Like
yeah. Staying
it's a
alive in
tight
that crap
division.
bag division. Yeah.
It's a tight division.
Yep.
And even if you might only need 9 wins to get into the playoffs in that division, which is stupid, I think it should be the best records. That's just me. Maybe the Saints are someone to watch in the
Find a
playoffs.
way to sneak
Probably
in.
not.
No.
Probably
Derek
not.
Carr in a playoff game, I doubt it.
No, but like, gotta give him credit. Gotta
For
give him
sure.
credit.
This week we absolutely will.
Yeah, for sure. Texans 19, Titans 16. CJ Stroud, banged up. Texans win by 3 in OT. Texans and Titans should be allowed. Their names are too similar. They mix me up sometimes, and they're in the same division. Kimmy Fairbairn came back in, right back to his own self. Devin Singletary had a nice day. Case Keenum was pretty much just
Okay.
Case Keenum.
Yep.
Like this is what we have come to expect from him. Wasn't a really exciting game to be honest, but the big thing for me was Molden's pick 6.
hmm
That was a big one. Obviously, didn't lead to a win, but
Yeah.
not really a lot to take from this game.
The big thing for me, I thought it was a joke when I saw it on Twitter. The stat line. Did you see Derek had before the outline? See what Derek Henry's game was like? This is one of the, especially for a player his caliber, one of the wildest stat lines I have ever seen for a running back. 16 rushes, 9 yards, 4 catches on 4 targets, and 1 yard receiving. Like, you hate to see it. And again, if I say it now, he'll probably come out and rush for 2 touchdowns and
Yep.
200 yards this
Yep.
week. So yeah, you're confident. So well, let's book it down right now. this was another game where Derrick Henry looked washed, and I hate to see it because I love Derrick Henry. But I couldn't, like I said, could not believe it when I saw that 16. I thought it was backwards. Like, okay, he definitely had 16 yards on 9 rushes. Nope, complete opposite. The four catches and 1 yard is just as equally impressive too.
Yeah, he's had a very bizarre year.
Yes, he has.
Um, to my knowledge, 45-29 between the Niners and Cardinals was not a scoregami, which kind of surprises me.
That's insane.
Cardinals played pretty good, to be
This game was
honest.
close at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
But like Brock Purdy has a stat line like this every week where he throws the ball like 27 times max. He completes like 70% of his passes and throws like maybe a pick and
mhm.
like 3 or 4 touchdowns.
I thought I saw
This
really.
team needs to be studied because it's not even like a deep dive thing, but like the way it works so consistently like this, where McCaffrey goes off, Debo goes off, Kittle contributes,
Mhm.
and Brock Purdy has a very identical stat line in that range. Just happens so consistently that I don't think there's a team that's going to beat this team in the playoffs.
No, I right now there isn't one. Like all these teams start. Dallas took a huge hit this week. The Eagles, they stink right now, so I don't have any confidence in them. Um,
No, no, no.
if there's a Super Bowl team, I mean, I know I just crapped on those two teams, but there
Has to
isn't a
be the
team in the AFC
49ers.
that's kind of that impresses me right now. Maybe the Ravens. But again, you still got to
And
see with Lamar in the playoff game, and who
this
else?
week, this week, 49ers
That's
Ravens.
right. Yeah, that's another that's a game you'll definitely be tuning into on
That's
Christmas Eve.
that's
Like
going to
that's the.
determine the MVP, I think. If
Are you
Lamar
really? You
really
think
shows out,
Lamar? See, the stats don't impress me for, and we talked about this last week. Like if
but
there's an MVP
Lamar's
to
in the mix. If he wins
yeah,
this
he
game,
absolutely is.
if
Yep,
he beats the 49ers,
that's true.
no
Good.
matter
Yeah, I
what he
guess
does,
fair.
he's going to jump up,
Mhm.
whether it's ahead of Dak or not, but he's going to
Oh,
jump up.
Dak lost it last week. I think
Yeah, and
his
Dak lost
MVP
it.
campaign
But
is
like
over after last week.
if he goes off this week, he's still in the mix. Like if Dak
That's
lays a
fair. Yep.
pedestrian performance or loses, he's out of the mix. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I think at the end of this game, regardless of the result, I think the top two players, because it's just so uncommon that we see a running back or a receiver like Hill or McCaffrey win it.
Mhm.
Top you two guys going to next week early on, like Tuesday next week,
That's what I was gonna
might
say.
be
Is
Lamar and
yep.
Purdy.
We talked about it last week. It should probably be
And
either
Lamar's already
McCaffrey
won
or
one. He has that
True.
pedigree.
Yep. It should be either McCaffrey or Hill. I've seen some people even say,
I
which
think
is
it should
crazy.
absolutely, absolutely be McCaffrey.
It should be. I mean, that offense, it runs, no pun
He,
intended, legitimately through him.
this isn't new either. This is not new with McCaffrey. It's
Nope.
not.
I've seen some people make the case that Trent Williams should be the MVP of the league, which is crazy to think of a left tackle, but like you saw it in that stretch. He gets banged up. 49ers offense takes a massive hit. Like they do
Yeah,
not
it's
look the
like
same when he's not in. So,
they're so bizarre because you see teams that are really good that struggle when a big guy goes out. When Brock Purdy was out, the 49ers did not look anything like they did. Debo Samuel's been out at times and they look completely lost.
mhm.
Then Trent Williams, albeit a very important position on the O line at left tackle, goes out and they're completely lost. This team is so good, but part of the things that gives me pause is they lose one of these big guys. They're vulnerable from what they've
Yeah.
shown us.
Yep. You're just kind of waiting for it at this point, which sucks to say, but it is the 49ers, and something like this, it seems like happens every year. That's why you're kind of hoping
It's
too. It's
very
like,
bizarre.
yeah, you hope they stay healthy because it's like, all right, if they
They're a
stay healthy, you
fascinating
get to
team.
absolutely, you get to see what they are like fully capable of.
Absolutely. Um, I can't wait for the playoffs this year because as much as it'd be interesting to see the 49ers crumble in some way, seeing them just dominate would also be awesome
Hmm.
because I feel like we haven't had a team like that in a little while.
No, not that I
There's
can
always a
think
little
of.
bit of adversity, but maybe they're the team that, galvanizes, stays healthy enough to do it. Um, Rams 28, Commanders 20. Kyron Williams, if you haven't been paying attention, pay attention now because Kyron Williams is the real deal.
Yes, he is.
I think he was like a fourth or fifth round pick 2 years ago. Just shows you how you can get running backs at any time. if you draft him right. Matthew Stafford, efficient, solid. Kyron Williams, great. Cooper Kupp, for the most part, the last 4 or 5 weeks has been relatively Cooper Kupp form as a whole. Not like completely dominant, but can't really complain too much. Jacoby Brissett slots into the game. I bet on Sam Howell to score rushing touchdown because he's plus 450 and he likes to score rushing touchdowns, and he got benched. So good timing, classic timing.
Yep.
Was hoping to get some nice little value there. Jacoby Brissett played good.
He did. He almost won the game for him.
Somebody
Rams
give
completely
Jacoby
took
Brissett a starting job. A bad
it
team out
blows
there.
my mind how many bad quarterbacks and bad teams there are, how he doesn't have a starting job
good.
somewhere.
He is good. I'm not just saying this because this week Jacoby Brissett is good. Is he like an average starter consistently? Maybe not. But like at least for a few games, like one of those guys you sign and he has a couple weeks that he's really good, then he kind of falls off. You cast him off to the side, whatever. I think Jacoby Brissett deserves a longer stint at the start of a season for a team that is trying to find maybe the guy of the future, maybe a bridge guy. They use him in the meantime.
Back to New England.
Give Jacoby Brissett some respect. I'm not just saying it because he's a New England guy. I legitimately like Jacoby Brissett, and I root for him.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while too. Like I feel like this is a guy that like you're telling me a team like the Steelers wouldn't be better off with Jacoby Brissett in their quarterback than any of the crap they have right now.
The Falcons.
Yeah, like them too. Yep. I think they're going back to. I thought I saw they're going back to Heineke again. Like
yeah. I had Ritter, so I had Stroud and Herbert originally every week, typically, and I have Stafford as well in Dynasty. And I was down to Ritter and Stafford last week. Now Ritter got benched, so I had to get Nick Mullins. Fantasy playoffs. I'm going to come in second place for the third year because the guy I'm facing is just a juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
Third place or second place for a third year, rather. Like,
not good.
Chris Olave gets hurt. Fucking Herbert, Stroud. I feel like there's one other I'm forgetting on my team. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Sad day, bad day. Shout out Jersey Jerry.
Got to adapt and overcome. That's all it is.
Adapt and overcome.
Yep. It's a bad day for the Cowboys on Sunday too. They show you anything on Sunday? What's your thoughts on the Cowboys moving forward?
The good thing for me is I didn't pick the Cowboys last week.
I'd like an apology, really quick. Thinking I was crazy picking the Buffalo Bills in this game, and what did I say was going to happen?
You did not say this. It was going to be this bad.
I didn't. All I said was it was the prime Cowboys.
That's
coming
my
off
leg
a big
to stand
win.
on.
Fair, very fair.
I formally apologize.
Thank you.
To me.
Yep.
Credit to me.
I've never seen you so against a pick that I have made in my life. And I was like, just you watch.
It was more so
big letdown spot for the Cowboys.
It was more so for me, like I thought the Cowboys were at least going to win close, if not blow them out. I thought a blowout was possible. But this was incomprehensible. I'm sorry.
Yeah. If there was going to be a blowout, it was going to be me having egg all over my face and the Cowboys blowing Buffalo out. Like I thought, when I picked Buffalo to win,
I thought so too.
Yeah, this will be like a 28-24 game, 27-24 in overtime. Somebody, Bass hits a field goal at the end of the game to win it, or Allen leads a game-winning touchdown drive. Did not expect Buffalo to just blow doors. And this game never really be close. Like the Cowboys never looked right from the get-go, which was the crazy thing. Like you thought this is a game they would have been up more for. Coming to Buffalo, try to shut up, all the Buffalo fans, and they just never even got off the plane. It felt like to go to Buffalo.
No, yeah, it was real bad. Just complete dysfunction. It shows you whenever things get good for the Cowboys, you always have to have that little.
Yep.
Maybe it's big
it is their
sometimes.
Time of year. Yep.
At least in the year, there's a little bit of doubt because of the Cowboys, and I did. I just didn't have enough to pick the Bills last week. I was wrong. You were right.
It is what it is.
If you're the 49ers, you have to feel a confidence boost from this too, I think.
Absolutely. You got to be sitting there going, who the hell is going to stop us right now if we're clicking on all cylinders, which they are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a weakness right now, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. The NFC, is bizarre in its own right, while the AFC doesn't really have a number one
Oh,
team
the AFC
besides
is as
maybe the
wide open as
Ravens.
it gets.
But even the Ravens we've seen are vulnerable. But my God, this game shocked me.
Mhm.
Shocked me. I thought
Again,
the
it's not
Cowboys
like
might lose, not this bad.
like we were beaten by Josh. Like Josh Allen had as pedestrian of a game as you could possibly have for him. I think what threw the ball 15 times. That's it. Even he said it. His joke about it was kind of funny. Like he felt like the kid that just kind of is there and then gets an A on a school project, which was kind of funny. But the big thing too is the Cowboys have been pretty good. Defense as a whole this season. Their run game, particularly the fact that James Cook was the guy that just ate them alive, which was the concerning thing for me if you're a Cowboys fan. Like this is a defense. James Cook's good. Don't get me wrong. Um, but a guy that should not be running all over the Cowboys like he did, and he was as
No, no,
effective as
no.
effective gets.
Yeah, he was very good. Tough loss to the Cowboys. Ravens 23, Jaguars 7, Sunday Night Football. Isaiah Likely, Gus Edwards, and the Ravens lead them to a win. Jaguars are frauds fully.
Took the words out of my
Um,
mouth. They have officially gone out of fraud watch, and they are just fully frauds. Like that team is not going to get
wow,
it
the
done.
Rams just went for it, fourth and goal. I had put a very small amount of money on Demarcus Robinson to score first. Did
It's the
not
second
hit.
time you've used that phrase. This doesn't feel like to me that you're throwing small amounts of money. Are you being
No,
sarcastic?
I am throwing small amounts of money.
Okay, all right.
Just
That
like the
I thought that
larger
was
odds
like code
things,
for like I threw 50
I'll throw
bucks
like
on
half
this
of my
and
typical unit on like a long shot, just
mhm.
so I feel a little bit better if it loses,
That's okay.
because it's a long shot,
I'm on the roll right now of whatever like prop bet I had. Like again, Jalen Brown last night for the Celtics really quick. 28.5 points, took the over, finished with 28. So I am fully in
Dude,
like
I had him over
hit
5.5 rebounds. He finished with 5.
there you go. It blows my mind. I had this conversation with my dad every morning. Like, how the hell does Vegas know? Like my
Yeah, they
buddy,
know.
it's
They
the same
really do
thing.
know.
It's like he's crazy. All the
Um,
bets he's made of late too, same thing. Missing it by a half a
right,
point. It's like,
dude.
what the hell?
It's crazy. Um, Not a whole lot to take from this game for me.
Not
Like
real.
the
I didn't really
Ravens,
watch a whole lot of this to
it's a
be
win for the
honest.
Ravens,
Hmm.
but like
It's kind
the
of a boring
Jaguars,
game
I
from what I
can I
saw.
can set my watch to a game like this for the Jaguars,
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That's really all it is.
Hmm.
Um, Seahawks 20, Eagles 17. The Eagles were dismantled at the end of the game by Drew Lock. A couple of guys on the sideline. The mind of the week. Geno Smith this week on the sidelines. Guys that have had to work their way up, been through some adversity.
Hmm.
Drew Lock's turn was this week. Didn't light the world on fire by any means.
Not
But
until the final minute and a
when
half.
it came
Like,
to the end, he showed up. I had Seahawks plus 10, a pussy alternate spread by me, to ensure I get it. I had JSN and DK Metcalf, and DK Metcalf carried them on that drive, and JSN scored, and it was a thrill. It was a thrill. I thought that was dead. Drew Lock had other plans. Shout out to Drew Lock. Shout out to that video of him with the Broncos singing along. I forget the song on the sidelines.
yeah, I
I
can't.
should
I saw that
remember.
video today too, and I can't remember what the hell it
What is
was.
it? Fuck, I wish I remembered now. It's a classic old song.
Yeah,
Huge win for the Seahawks. Huge.
absolutely.
Like
My.
this is a game you need to win, a game you want to play spoiler.
Mhm.
They did that. Things are tough for the Eagles. I think one of your silver linings right now is that Jalen Carter has been consistently excellent all year, but got James Bradbury getting cooked. Darius Slay is hurt.
Their secondary is not
You
good.
haven't been getting a lot from your rookies. Nolan Smith, to my knowledge, hasn't done a lot. N'Kobe Dean, I never even see him out there. I don't know if I'm not paying close enough attention. Killy Ringo, I haven't seen him really out there either. Maybe Eagles fans will be pissed at me, but um, things are real bad for the Eagles right now. Real, real bad.
So what are you telling me? Making Matt Patricia the defensive coordinator or the play caller wasn't the shot in the arm that everyone thought it was going to be? Like that was my
Are
big
you
takeaway.
serious?
Just hilarious
Are
that
you serious?
yeah, that in his first game, making more of the defensive plays calling that you let Drew Lock, and again, not to knock Drew Lock, but not the greatest quarterback on the planet. You let him go 92 yards in under 2 minutes to win the game and convert 2 3rd and 10s, including the game-winning touchdown. Like that's just as Matt Patricia
Yeah.
as Matt Patricia as it gets. Like that was
Yeah, and
hilarious to see.
shout out to Drew Lock too, because the guy uh seemingly could have been an NFL quarterback, hasn't worked that way.
Mhm. He
Makes
gave an
the
awesome post
puts the
game.
drive of his life in the post game.
That was
The post
awesome to
game was
watch.
awesome.
Pretty much saying, it was
He
everyone
couldn't
else
have
doing it. Yeah,
he couldn't have some things up better.
absolutely.
He what a
Easy guy to
guy.
root for.
Like a guy, the maturity he showed, um, I don't know if it humbled him in the moment, but like it was kind of like coming to terms moment with where he's at.
Mhm.
He's like, this is awesome. Like, credit to his teammates a lot. Like, could have been like, oh yeah, like he could have pulled a Jake Browning from last week, but like, you
Yeah,
fucking caught me. Like, obviously the Eagles didn't cut him, but like some like over the top bullshit. He
could have
could
pulled a
have
Cam
like
Newton, been like, "I'm
try to
back."
put some like Cam Newton fucking over the top quote out there. He's like, yeah, like in the moment type stuff, like very appreciative of where he was at.
Mhm.
So Drew Lock, I think, gained a lot of fans this week. I don't know why he wouldn't. Um, Easy guy to root for. Even going into it, good vibes guy from that
For sure.
Broncos videos back in the day. But yeah, man, like you got to step up, and you've got a quarterback room where you guys have had to battle back him and Geno Smith, and you saw that appreciation. I think they did the WWE belt or something.
Mhm.
That was awesome. Just an enjoyable game from how close it was for a team like the Eagles that probably should have beat them to how it got down to the end and the Seahawks pulling it off was pretty special and a memorable game in a season like this. So
For
that
sure.
was pretty awesome. Do you have anything to add before we get into week 16?
No, like I said, the whole Matt Patricia thing being funny was my big takeaway, and then like you just talked about the Drew Lock stuff was cool to see as well. So that's all I had
Yeah,
from this game, and then we talked about the Eagles being frauds at this point too.
absolutely. Saints and Rams. I had the Rams. You had the Rams as well. These
Mhm.
were made before the game. So
Yes, they were not great that they got stuffed on 4th and goal, as you said, but the Rams, I think they have enough talent to overcome that early in the game and bounce back throughout
no, they got
and win this game.
stuffed, but they got stuffed, but they did score on the they
Oh, did
went
they?
for it on fourth down.
Oh, I thought you said they got stuffed on 4th down and
No, I
did
must
not
have
get it.
misspoke, but
Okay.
I had DeMarcus Robinson to score. Puka Nakua scored on fourth down instead. So I did consider Puka Nakua, so it makes me a little sad, but I was feeling DeMarcus Robinson.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Rams. This one, the Bengals, I just can't comfortably pick the Steelers ever, even at home. Home field advantage really means nothing to me.
You don't think Mason
Um,
Rudolph's going to give him a
for
spark? Third
no,
quarterback in
no, no,
like
no, no,
four
no.
weeks. Yeah.
And the home field advantage meant something for the Steelers when it was Heinz Field. Now it's a Crozier Field. Whack. Home
Yeah.
field advantage is
I don't know what
gone
that
for the Steelers.
means.
They
Yeah.
suck crumb bums. Um, Not even a pun intended with Jersey Jerry there.
That's where I thought you were going.
Now they're on Mason Rudolph. No, it's just you know me. I've hated the Steelers. It's been a long time thing.
Hmm.
They're crumb bums.
As have I.
And yeah, Saturday, Bills and Chargers.
Would have
This
been
would
a good
be a much
game
more
if.
exciting game if Justin Herbert was healthy
Hmm.
or Keenan Allen was healthy.
Yep.
That's not the case. Oh,
Do I
guess what?
start Joshua Palmer in his place?
Mike Williams
Don't think I
has been
would.
out for 2 months as well. So
I kind of forgot he existed, not gonna lie. I'm picking the Bills in this
I
game.
think the Bills might win like 40-10.
I don't know. See, this is where everyone's wrong with the Bills, though. Like this is you expect that of the Bills because now the Bills are coming in off a huge win against Dallas. This would be a game they win, but they'll win it like 13-10 or something stupid.
No, not that low.
No, you
Come
don't think
on,
so?
Ryan. You don't believe that.
I do. I was right last week in a
You
prediction with the
do?
Bills. I do
Okay.
because the Bills
If
did
if you're right
two
next
weeks in a
week,
row on this.
if it's like 13-10 or
What
like
do
a
I
3-point margin like
what do I
that, I will
get?
bow to you on
Okay,
camera. I will
good.
bow.
Good. Go
Um,
Buffalo. The thing I'm praying for this game, again, to keep it with fantasy, I'm in my semifinals. I have Austin Eckler. I made the mistake of drafting him in the first round. I've already lost one Charger and Keenan Allen. Please, Austin Eckler, don't put up like 4 points. I'm praying. I need
How
somebody to
can
do
you
something
start
for
him?
me because I don't have any other. How can I start Austin Eckler? Because I have no
He
other running backs.
sucks.
Yeah, who else am I supposed to start? I have Javonte Williams.
Javonte Williams.
I'm starting him. Oh no, I have Aaron Jones. I'm not starting Javonte
Don't
Williams against the
start Aaron
Patriots.
Jones.
I have to. My other running back is Tyson Chandler,
Oh,
and
Austin Eckler.
Addison. Yeah, Madison's back this week. I'm pretty sure. So, and Stevenson's
Austin
hurt.
Austin Eckler's been ass
I
lately,
know, but
dude.
I'm praying a coaching change wakes up their senses and say, "Hey, this
Yeah,
guy's pretty
that's a
good.
fair point.
Like,
That's a fair
stop playing
point.
Joshua Kelly because he sucks."
I think you're playing with fire there.
I am. I
But
100% am.
I
But I'm.
respect the balls. I
Thank
respect the
you.
balls.
I have no other
Um,
options.
Colts Falcons. This is Colts. This
Hmm.
is just one of those like they're on a similar level, but this is a game the Falcons lose every time.
Minshew and Headband Heineke are a hell of a quarterback matchup, though.
It's
Just from a look
technically a
standpoint.
headband versus
That's what I
headband
mean.
matchup.
Yeah.
This is incredible. You've just enlightened me to the headband versus headband matchup. I
Thank
have to
you.
bet heavily on this game, I think. You know me. I'm a headband
Big
Heineke
headband
guy.
guy. Yep.
I have made this known. I
Absolutely. I'm
love him.
going
I
with the
love the
Colts as
vibes
well, though.
around headband Heineke. Packers Panthers Ryan.
You gonna do it?
I will say I
You're not
looked at
gonna do it.
this. I thought it for a brief second, but I said no. It's Packers all the way.
Okay, I'm
The
with you.
Panthers aren't winning 2 games in a row. Let's be honest.
Probably not. But we did say
It
that
would be a
last week they weren't
modern
gonna win,
miracle, and
and
I would celebrate it, but
it'd be nice if they win though, because again, you talked about it
real
earlier. Keep
nice.
helping the Patriots draft position. That's what the Panthers should be doing at this point. Try to win to fuck the Bears over as much as possible. Get them out of that
Yeah,
first
dude,
overall pick.
that's what it
Like,
is.
yeah,
You don't have the pick. Try and
do
go
anything.
do some ridiculous shit. Like
Have guards catch passes and do some crazy Dan Campbell stuff.
let Bryce Young establish confidence,
That
however that
too.
may be. Because he needs to. Like you've invested enough. Browns and Texans. Speaking of quarterbacks from this past year, CJ Stroud will not play. But even either way, like even with CJ Stroud, I'd give the Browns a fighting chance in this game because they've proven me wrong.
Mhm.
Um, expected them as a 7-win team. They've got 9 right now. They're on the road, but like this is not a team that should scare anybody with road or a home field advantage for the Texans in this case. It's the Browns all day, and I think the Browns might win by double digits.
I'm gonna go with the Browns too.
And I say that like it's crazy, but it's really not without CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I mean, is Nico Collins going to play too? That's a big question there. If he
Yep.
doesn't play, that offense is
Mm-hmm.
going to struggle just a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's Cleveland. Cleveland's been the better, not better of late, but I'm going to trust Joe Flacco still until he proves otherwise.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm with you. Joe Flacco has been a great story. Um, Lions and Vikings. Right now, after that Lions game, I'm all over them now. I'm
I don't
back
know.
in. Not fully back in, but
Mhm. I don't know what possessed me to
they're
think
gonna win
you
this
were going to
game.
pick the Vikings in this game. I don't know why. I looked at this, so I'm like, oh, this is a game where I feel like he could throw an upset in there. I don't know why I thought you would pick the Vikings in this spot, but I'm going with you. I'm picking the Lions as well.
Yeah, I actually have to go on the fly here because I forgot, like I said earlier.
Mhm.
Commanders and Jets.
I'm surprised you went in this direction for this game, though. What is your thought process on picking the Jets suck suck suck? Did
I
you
don't
want to
know.
throw an upset on the card somewhere? Is that what it was?
Pure vibes.
You
I have
like
no
Trevor
analysis in
Simeon?
this game. These teams, like the Commanders, have completely given up. That's my big thing. I
Hmm.
think they lost 5 or 6 in a row, which leads me to believe this might be like one of those random Zach Wilson at least pretty serviceable weeks,
Hmm.
and they win by like 3 or 4 points.
Okay.
I it comes back to I can't in my right conscience. I don't know, police car outside the window. Um, I can't in good conscience pick the Commanders. No matter how I look at it, I can't do it.
That's how I feel
So
about the
I
Jets.
have to
So
pick the Jets. I have to
that's
pick the
why I'm
Jets.
picking Washington. The exact same reason, just that you have.
Oh,
Just I cannot, in good faith, ride with Zach Wilson or Trevor Simeon,
oh,
whoever it is at quarterback this week. Um, Going with the Commanders.
interesting, interesting. Seahawks and Titans. At this point, I don't know how you can pick the Titans. They're just
Um,
trying to give Will
unless you
Levis
want to pick
reps to this
upsets.
point.
Yep. Unless you want to just pick upsets the rest of the way. Seahawks coming off a big win. They continue to roll in Tennessee. You know, Will Levis got whacked around pretty good in that last game.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry looked human once again. Seahawks starting to figure some things out, so I'm gonna ride with them as well.
Yeah, I think for the Titans too, unless there's a lack of confidence, like you spent a good investment on Traylon Burks. I think
That
unless
guy
this
is
kid is toast,
non-existent on that team.
unless he's toast in this offense, and it seems like Vrabel's getting a little frustrated, so maybe he's just like doing his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Might want to start implementing Traylon Burks a little bit. So I wonder if that happens this week. I'm not super confident in it.
Jags and Bucks.
Jags and Bucks. I'm going with the Bucks. I'm out on the Jaguars
Same.
fully.
Yep.
Not fully, but pretty close. Um,
This is a game they lose though. Like the
it
Jags are
is.
you
It
should walk
is.
into Tampa Bay and beat the crap out of this team, and they're not going to. Like they need a
No, they
get right
won't.
game, and it's not going to be this one.
No, I don't think so either. Cardinals and Bears. I'm on the Cardinals. This just
I wanted to pick the
this
Cardinals.
feels like a game they win. And a game kind of like somewhat even level teams.
Mm-hmm.
They at least keep it interesting, if not win. My gut tells me Cardinals.
I wanted to pick the Cardinals, but the Bears defense has been playing a little bit better of late.
That's true. Montez Sweat, I think, has either more sacks than he did with the Bear or with the Commanders this year,
Mm-hmm.
or has like more sacks than the Commanders as a whole, or something I saw.
It's wild.
Which, like, I mean, maybe not this level, but like sort of be to be expected. The guy's very good, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna go with the Bears. Though, like I said, their defense has been playing better. I think Fields is gonna bounce back because at this point he is maybe playing for his job. I don't know. I'm with you. I think they should give him at least one more year to figure some things out. But as we talked about, they're in a weird position with that draft pick. But I think they have a bounce back game here, and like you said, a close one that with two pretty evenly bad football teams.
Yeah, in much different ways, I'd say. Cowboys and Dolphins. This game is hopefully going to be high scoring.
This game was tough for me to pick
The
because both these
Dolphins
teams are
are a
very
finesse bitch
similar.
team. The
Yep.
Cowboys, after last week, are very close to being that same level of finesse bitch team in the NFC.
They're the
And I'm
same
picking
team.
the Dolphins because I think the Cowboys obviously make the playoffs, but this, after that loss, is a little bit of a stumble.
Mhm.
Late season stumble. I think they lose to the Dolphins close this week.
I think they bounce back. I hated picking the Cowboys. It went against everything I did last week because I would have probably picked the Dolphins, but Cowboys, I think they bounce back. They can't play as bad as they did last week. They were just flat out not prepared for that Buffalo game.
No.
And mainly because I think the Dolphins are more fraudulent than the Cowboys are. So I think in
That's
the
very
end,
fair.
yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to bounce back. And
I think they're
I'm with
both
you.
very similar.
Win a close one. There's no way this is going to be any sort of blowout either way. It'll be a high
Yeah,
scoring
I'd be
game, like you
very
said.
shocked.
But I think the Cowboys win it by somewhere between 3 to 6 points. We'll say.
I get it. Pats Broncos, we know the deal. Broncos for us. Already broke
Ooh,
that down.
I'm surprised in this pick.
What?
Go ahead. We weren't going to talk about Patriots Broncos, so I'm surprised at this next one that you have. At home,
Raiders.
you're going against the Chiefs at home. You're just not impressed after this Patriots game? Or are you impressed by the
No.
63 points
No,
by
no,
the
no, no,
Raiders?
no.
What's the
A little bit of both.
okay?
I think the Raiders win by like 3 points in this game.
At
And
Arrowhead. Wow.
we have
Okay.
these games every once in a while where the underdog wins. Hungry Raiders team, new coach, new offense. Aiden O'Connell facing a much better defense than the Chargers defense, albeit.
Fair. Yep.
I think the Raiders, I'm feeling good right now. Am I 100%? No. I'm not. Gut tells me the Raiders. Some weird shit happens.
Mhm.
maybe a late pick or something weird. The Raiders win this game somehow. I can't deny it. Do I think the Chiefs are probably going to win? Yeah, but
Mhm.
something in my gut is telling me that the Raiders are going to win this game,
Good. I'm glad
and
you
I
have
can't
faith in.
deny it.
I'm glad you have faith in the Raiders because I don't. I'm terrified that the Patriots were the get right game for the Chiefs this last week, and now because I think their schedule the rest of the way might be a cakewalk as well. I think they have the Chargers at least one more time, and somebody else that's not very good. I'm terrified the Patriots woke the Chiefs up last week. Now the Chiefs didn't look great in that game against the Patriots.
Mm,
Um,
I'm the opposite. I'm
are
the
you? You're still
opposite.
not high on them. I'm
No,
waiting
no,
for
no,
it. I'm
no.
waiting for them to. The rest of the league falls apart. They get a couple wins late against some bad teams, get the 1 seed, have to play at home, and then ride that to the Super Bowl again. We talked
This
about
is
it
their
last week.
spot,
Like,
though. This is very much an opportunity still where they could win by 20 points,
mhm.
and I won't believe on them until they win by a lot. So
Fair.
if they
That's fair.
do, I change my course on the Chiefs. If they keep it close, I'm still out on them. But I
Okay.
think this is a winnable game for the Raiders.
I hope you're
They're
right.
playing for pride. They have a very outside shot at the playoffs. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling Raiders. I can't deny it.
Okay.
With Tommy DeVito, I would say the Giants maybe to get one of these last games against the Eagles because they play them again in 2 weeks. But I have to go to the Eagles. Like no Tommy DeVito, no chicken cutlets. I can't pick Tyrod Taylor against the Eagles. The Eagles have to have one galvanizing game at least the rest of the season, right? And
You
this
would
has to
think.
be it.
I mean, it's a perfect spot. At home, get right game against a banged up Giants team. You think they should
Absolutely.
absolutely stomp them. But who knows? Like we said, they have not been playing great football of late. Jalen Hurts, I think, has kind of casted away his MVP consideration.
No, yeah, he's
Um,
gone.
yeah, I saw some people joke that Jason Kelsey is more of an MVP on that team than Jalen Hurts is because of the tush push and everything and leading the charge on that, which was kind of funny. Um, but yeah, I'm with you, Eagles. They got to get a get right game in here at some point. There's no better time than right now.
Yeah, they do. I absolutely agree. Ravens 49ers is looking like I'm holding my tongue on the best game of the year.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a Super Bowl preview.
I think that is possible as well.
Mhm.
Chalk at this point, but this could be the best game of the year. In terms of maybe not points, I think we think best game of the year is high scoring,
Yeah,
but
blowout. Yeah, back and forth.
competitiveness, this game could be pretty awesome, I think. And
It's
I'm
got a
going with the
chance to have a little bit of
49ers.
everything. Like both defenses playing very good right now. Both offenses obviously have plenty of different ways they can beat you. So it is hopeful. I mean, this is the typical get yourself hyped up for it and the game stinks. You hope it's not the case because it is obviously two phenomenal
Mm-hmm.
teams right now, both playing at as
Mm-hmm.
high as level as they possibly could be. Um, I'm going to go with the 49ers, though, at home, like you said earlier. Until there is a team that proves they can beat the 49ers, I'm probably not going to pick against the 49ers because they are the most well rounded team in football.
No, they absolutely are. I agree. That is going to wrap it up for our Week 16 preview in the NFL segment.
Lengthy
Let's move
football
on.
segment.
What'd you say?
I said a lengthy football segment, it
A
felt like this
lengthy.
week.
I think you
Yeah.
said might be football segment. I was like,
No.
well, what's coming on next? Um, On to Bruins before we get to our long anticipated Christmas draft, Christmas movie draft, which we'll do a coin flip for. Bruins and Islanders. Bruins have been playing all right lately, still kind of in this buffer zone type of mentality. They won the game. They probably shouldn't have, I guess, against the Islanders 5-4 in a shootout, moved to 19-5-4. Hallmark makes 33 saves on 37 shots, rather. They get a shot 37-34, down 2-0 after a scoreless first. Just bad defense by Grzelcyk on the Holmstrom goal. Morgan Geekie might be the new bumper guy. That little tic-tac-toe play. We've seen reminiscent of Patrice Bergeron in the past. And for the love of God, Ryan, something I have been beckoning for was a David Pastrnak typical, you know, whammo into the net.
The Ovechkin
I
spot.
would the Ovechkin spot, which is no longer the Ovechkin spot because he hasn't scored in his last 14 games. might
Oh my
be
God, that's
declining
unheard of.
rapidly. He has 5 goals this year, Ryan. The goal record is in jeopardy big time for
You could have
Ovi.
given me 20 guesses. I would have never guessed that he
It
had
is
five
very
goals.
disheartening to watch. I watched them last night. He has some chances, just can't finish. They don't pass in the puck as much. I feel like things have changed. It's very disheartening because I love Ovechkin. Um, yeah, like this should be case in point. Like David Pastrnak can still do this. You don't have
Mhm.
Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci, but like still possible. You got to find these looks for Pastrnak, especially when you're not scoring a ton these days. You got to get Pastrnak these looks. Um, Speaking of the power play, haven't been super high on it this year. Scored 3 goals in this game on the power play, which was really nice to see. JVR scored one, deflected a Shattenkirk shot pass. They erased
Race.
3 goal deficits in this game, which was nice to see some resilience. I bet them going into overtime, which is pretty nice. The Nelson goal in the third period was pretty rough. I think Marchand or Lindholm could have stopped that passing play on either point. Little tic tac toe, kind of rough defense. But Mason Lohrei banked one in, ties it, sends it to overtime. Nothing in overtime, and Coyle, as he is, Charlie Coyle has a gift in the shootout.
He's pretty
Um,
automatic in a shootout. Yeah.
he, dude, like, my God, the guy has it down to a mental science. And Pasta ends it with what I tweeted as he's got this approach to it where it looks like he is trying to shoot it on the back glass on purpose.
Like that. Yeah. Whenever I watch it, I call it the
Unbelievable.
like, I don't really fucking care. I'm just gonna throw this puck right by you. And you have no
He
chance of
is
stopping it. Like it's the most
that is him.
lackadaisical, like
They're
no
showing
effort.
Shohei on the broadcast right now.
Did they? I saw Puka
Um,
Nakua game in Jersey earlier.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean when
He
Pastrnak does that, it's unbelievable to me as someone who's never played like hockey competitively outside of like street hockey, how you can just again so nonchalantly, like I
yeah.
don't give a crap about this, and then just whip the thing right by you, not even standing a chance.
Yeah, it's absolutely the fuck you mentality. Like,
Mhm.
I'm so good, I'm just gonna do what I feel like. And it typically works. Um, he's just he's unbelievable. Back to back against the Rangers didn't go as well as can happen on a back to back to lose 2-0 or 2-1 in OT, 19-5-5 at this point. Swayman played pretty good, 32 saves and 30. I have the typo here, 34 shots, not 24 shots. They were outshot heavily by the Rangers. Pretty lackluster performance. Not a lot of support for Jeremy Swayman in this one.
Mhm.
Really at all. When you have Trent Frederick as your lone goal scorer, that's a tough game.
Gonna have a bad time.
Um, Nice goal though, Patra, JVR, Frederick. Nice little setup there. Tough night on the dot. Only won 42% of draws. Not going to be enough, especially in a close game. Um, Trocheck scores in the power play in regulation. Too easy. Not good enough penalty killing.
Mhm.
And then in overtime, he just scoots right by the defenseman, goes in his off wing. Nice little trigger spot. Buries it. Game over. Pretty uninspired performance. Hurts especially more when you get a good performance from your goaltender.
Yep.
Did enough to win the game. Offense and the surrounding cast outside of Swayman did not. An unfortunate result. Lose 2 to the Rangers this year. Maybe these are barometer games for potential playoff matchup. Maybe they're not. I will determine that based on how the Bruins, pull things together as the season goes on. But bad performances against the Rangers in very different ways. You go to
Mhm.
MSG, get shellacked. Like I said, I was at the game. Pastrnak ties the game in that game in MSG early in the second. They kind of take their foot off the pedal and get stomped 7-4. This game, really not a great 60-minute effort at any point.
Mhm.
They had stretches, but nothing consistent enough to even consider winning an extremely close game on the scoreboard. Not super encouraging. And it's just a bummer when Swayman shows up. To lose a game like this, it's always frustrating. Minnesota 2 nights ago, 4-3 OT loss. Olmark back in net, 26 saves on 30 shots, heavily outshot the Wild 43-30. Gets the announcement before this one that Matthew Patra will go to the World Juniors. We'll do a little segment on that. I'll get your input after I do mine. I was hoping he wasn't going to go to the World Juniors because I think he has more to gain here.
Yep.
But there's also the other angle of, as we've seen now, I don't know if you saw the lines at all today. He's on the top line. He's
I
moved
did. I
Connor
saw that
Geekie.
yeah, I saw your tweet about it.
Connor Geekie moves from 1C to 1 left wing. I think Jordan Dumais, who's very good. No, Matthew Savoy is on there, right wing. He's a 8th overall pick of the Sabres 2 years ago. Extremely skilled. Not super surprised to see Patra at 1C. I kind of wondered if him and Geekie, Morgan Geekie's brother, Connor Geekie, first rounder of the Coyotes, would stay at center. Patra would be 1 or 2C. And then Macklin Celebrini, the number 1 overall projected pick this year, would move to wing. That wasn't the case. So Matthew Patra, at this point, I've come around on it. I think it's going to be a huge confidence boost opportunity. He's surrounded by supreme skill. He's got NHL experience. He's going to be a leader, a guy that was, glanced over last year at the development camp for the Team Canada team. Obviously wasn't at the level he is now as a prospect. Really came out of the scene very fast as a Bruin, so it's not like that was super surprising that he was overlooked a little bit. But he's going to play a very central role for them. I imagine he might kill some penalties. Maybe not, but he'll definitely be on one of their top power play units. He's going to play a lot. Things have been a little rough for him lately, out of the lineup at times, hasn't been as effective, but these hills and valleys are to be expected for a guy that, going into training camp wasn't necessarily expected to even make the team. So, especially if he wins a gold medal somehow, this could be huge for him. If he stays healthy, it's huge for him. But my biggest thing, outside of keeping him out of the development system, their routine they have with him taking periodic rest, has me worried that if he gets hurt, it's a Kirby Dach situation from a couple years. Kirby Dach broke his wrist, was out for like 12 weeks.
It is
kind of struggled to get his footing back afterwards. Now he's hurt again for the Canadians. It's a very uncommon situation. But bare bones, sending a guy you don't necessarily need to send to the World Junior team and then him getting hurt is a nightmare scenario.
It's a horrible look. Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, especially Canadians, representing their country is a huge, huge deal. Like more so than any country in the world.
The same discussion we had with Porzingis in the FIBA thing for the Celtics earlier in the offseason. Like
it really is
a lot of risk you take with
a different vertical. Yeah, it is.
I don't know. Like, I don't want to say I'm indifferent to it because, like, that's just how I feel. But, like, I feel like you kind of touched on his struggles here. Like, you would like to see him try to overcome those struggles at the National League or the NHL level. Like you said, to obviously try to get through those peaks and valleys. On the flip side of it, though, like, I don't want to think of this as like a vacation for him, but like I don't really know if it's the worst thing. Him getting away, maybe clearing his mind a little bit, kind of focusing on that. Like if that's something that, and like you said, getting to play with a ton of skilled players, might do wonders for him. Might get a little bit of an offensive touchback that maybe he hasn't had these last couple of outings with the Bruins. Again, maybe get some confidence back, gets his legs under him a little bit more, and then comes back and looks like he did at the start of the year.
Because pep in the step.
Absolutely, it's not crazy to say that he has lost a little bit over the last month, couple weeks.
Yeah, and like you said, that's expected too.
Just gonna say that's kind of given with where he is at this point in his career. Yeah, like he hasn't had to face this kind of workload probably ever in his hockey career so far.
Yeah, he's never. I think someone said I think Ty Anderson said 64, 66 games in a season is the max he's ever played. He'll be all right.
Yep. Like you
And
said though,
like
you hoping he
there's a
just doesn't
real
get hurt
chance,
because then
there's a
yeah.
real chance he's a point per game plus player for Team Canada.
Yeah, and
Which
like you said, what does that do to his confidence level? Like he comes back saying, "Hey, I don't want like I'm not gonna say he's gonna come back thinking like, hey, I carried that team no matter what they do."
no, yeah, he's
But
got a
like,
good head on his shoulders.
yeah,
He
but
won't be
like,
like that.
no, but my point is like, say he puts
No,
up a
I get
decent
you.
amount of
Yeah,
points, like he's gonna come back thinking, okay, if I can do that there, like let me transition that back and try to,
yeah. Let's keep it
help.
rocking and
Yeah,
rolling.
absolutely. So
And
I don't.
he's gonna play power play. He's at the moment got Connor Geeky on his wing, who's like 6'4", can score, great skater for his size, and Matthew Savoy is an absolute machine, like a wizard type of player. Great shooter, great hands, super fast. Poitras could go ridiculous in this tournament,
Mhm.
and how many power play opportunities he gets. He's gonna be on that power play consistently, but um how much he converts is, he's a great player, but he's not like one of these guys like Celebrini or Savoy or Geeky.
Mhm.
Um, who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Jordan Dumais, who are going to be these main power play guys. Denton Mateychuk from the back end, who's been tearing it up in the CHL for the back end. But in the end, it's not the ideal thing for me. I would have preferred for him to stay in the NHL. But if they're comfortable doing it, it gives me ease. So I'm not gonna like be this curmudgeon about it. I
Mhm.
think more likely than not, it's a net gain for him. It's a confidence boost. It's a great experience. This is probably his last experience because he's gonna be a full-time NHL next year, I
Yep.
imagine. So he's not gonna leave next year unless he's really struggling. They want to give him that last year of eligibility in the World Juniors. But yeah, that's a little Patra World Juniors spiel. I think he'll do fine. Rooting for the U.S. to win, of course, but if Patra goes off as well, that'd be nice. A little confidence booster. Back to the Wild game, though. This game was pure chaos.
Really was,
Pure,
especially the end of it. Like,
pure chaos. David Pastrnak had no less than 4,000 scoring chances. They dominated on the draws, 62.3%. High danger chances galore. Tough start with the Marcus Johansson goal. Nobody really picked up on him. Late stage revenge goal, if you will. Johnny Beecher. This was the type of play I've been waiting for Johnny Beecher. He's kind of limited too because he's not playing with guys like Pastrnak a lot. Look what happens when he's on an off shift with David Pastrnak. He battles through the defender on the side, gets through with that size, that speed, that strength, and no hesitation. And I wish the older players in this team would understand this because maybe this is just like, hey, I'm trying to get points. I'm just going to give it to the guy that can score 60 goals. But he had
makes the
no
most sense.
hesitation when he got through. He's like, I'm going to give the puck to Pasta, see what happens. I see a guy like Charlie Coyle. I see guys like Pavel Zacha sometimes. We're veterans in this team that overpass when they don't need to. And I get it. You have the open net, like an NHL goal, little like cross crease one timer, like you're playing NHL. And they think that in the real time. And I get it because they're good passers. Coyle and Zacha are great passers. You need, especially, it comes back to no Bergeron and Krejci. You don't have as much scoring push. When you're on a 2-on-1 with this team, you need to shoot the puck more so than you pass.
Mhm.
And I
Been
hope
saying that
a
for the
goal
Bruins for
like
as long as we've
a
been
goal like
around.
this with a rookie who battles past a defenseman and his first instinct is like, okay, I'm not gonna fuck around and risking a mistake. There's a 60 goal scorer on my right. I'm gonna try and get the puck to him, see what happens. Love that from Johnny Beecher. Been a huge fan of him this year. Didn't know how great he was gonna be, but overall, I think he's been a pleasant surprise. I think he could do a lot worse at fourth line center.
Absolutely.
Um, and then eventually you get to the stage where Kirill Kaprizov scores his first of the game. Worst person to let a rebound up to. I think it bounced off Omar's glove. Um, Ryan Hartman gets loose puck with a bunch of Bruins around him. Gives a little, FU celebration to the crowd. Matt Grizzlick just lets him walk in. Um, I'm done with Matt Grzelcyk and I'm done with Jake DeBrusk.
I was just gonna say, because I didn't know when you were gonna get to him on the Grizzly
Yep,
thing. One of two Bruins that if I never had to watch play in a Bruins uniform ever again, I don't know if I would be disappointed by that because I'm out on Grizzly
I'm
because I
out.
texted you the
Both
other
of them.
night. Just an aggravating game towards the end to watch, and you rightfully said that it's literally Jake DeBrusk that should be the one that's pissing you off the most, and it's true.
And it's
Um,
Grzelcyk too.
yeah, and Grizzly, but I was just gonna say if I'm gonna get on Pasternak for his effort in the whatever the overtime loss was last week for the lackadaisical effort
Hmm.
coming back for the puck, DeBrusque was 10 times worse because especially seeing that he missed the net, what was it, twice last night in overtime, and
Twice.
then just didn't even get like if we talk about Pasternak, the I don't give a shit attitude on the goal. DeBrusque had the I don't give a shit attitude just as a whole after missing
Just
both
trying to
those
rip it.
shots. Yeah, and then it's I just
Like
don't
he's
get it.
playing
Like
street hockey, like trying to go top corner.
it really
Like,
is, yeah. But it's maddening to watch. This is a guy we've seen do this
yeah.
like plenty of times before, and now the thing that sucks about it is he doesn't have like he can maybe make the case that his production, not mainly was from Bergeron last year, but like playing with Bergeron helped. He doesn't have that
Mhm.
crutch to fall back on this year. So
Yeah.
if he's not going to
Contract year.
produce
Matt
now,
Grzelcyk,
like
contract year.
yeah, we talked about it with Grizz like a couple weeks ago. Like it's crazy
Makes
that
him
most
easier to let go at the same
yeah
time.
like most guys step up their production in contract years. You don't tend to go the other way and play 10 times worse, but that's the thing that's
Yeah, and
plaguing
you
both
have
these
the
guys
alternate
right now.
universe situation where, like, if the Bruins suck this year and DeBrusk and Grzelcyk are playing good, at least you can move them for assets. The
Absolutely.
Bruins are
Yep.
playing good enough to make the playoffs, albeit different than last year, of course. You probably want to keep these guys around unless you can make a straight up hockey trade.
Hmm.
Because if you're trading Grzelcyk, you want to get a defensive back because Mason Lowry is not ready yet. I like Mason Lowry. I like his offensive instincts,
Hmm.
but when he needs to back check,
He's too
he's not
raw
quick
still.
enough.
Yep.
He's very inexperienced defensively, in terms of, his defensive game and, the fact that he didn't start playing defense until he was 17. He needs, he's already 22. I get it. But like Mason Lowry might be a guy when he's closer to 24, like midway through next year, is a guy that's a full-time NHLer. He needs a lot of work. And he's been out of the lineup lately, and he's projected to be out of the lineup right now for tomorrow's game for a reason. He's got a lot of work to do still, and that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who's paid attention. But he does have moments. The offensive, the passing in the offensive zone, he can transition the puck, but he still has a lot of work to do. And he's big, but he's not that strong. He needs to get stronger too. Um, didn't intend on going a Mason Lowry tangent, but I think it needs to be said. Um, Marchand scores late amidst all the chaos, and Kirill Kaprizov calls game in overtime. And like we said, Jake DeBrusk just two horrible, fucking horrible misses in overtime. Jim Montgomery calls him out, mix up the names there. And it's kind of interesting. You have the situation, him getting called out. And you have the situation with Ryan Mougenel calling out Fabian Lysell. I don't know if you saw that clip,
I did
but
not.
him doing too much. And there's been clips coming out lately where like he'll enter the offensive zone and try to go through four guys. And Ryan Mougenel did not pull punches. He's like visibly frustrated with how Fabian Lysell does that.
Hmm.
And Jake DeBrusk is like that in a different sense. Jake DeBrusk to me is right now is a player playing with no confidence.
He's just kind of out. Like I mean, I don't know if I texted it to you or he said it to you, or whatever. Like he's a guy that I feel like I don't even see. Like no, he's out there half the time. Like unless he
He's
had like the.
he's back to old DeBrusk, man. He
Mhm.
coasts around.
I was gonna say
And when he
unless the
gets a
broadcast
chance,
specifically
he
points
rips
him
it and
out.
tries to
Like
snipe it. I think you're right, too. Like, I think no Bergeron is hurting him a
mhm,
lot.
for sure,
A
absolutely.
lot. Which is really bizarre because Bergeron is Bergeron. Krejci is Krejci. Whoever he's playing with.
Hmm.
But like Coyle and Zaka have been pretty good this year
Yeah, I
for
have
the
no
most part.
complaints about either one of those guys. Absolutely.
Like it's not like Charlie Coyle has like 12 points in 30 games. It's not like Pavel Zacha's got like 14 points. Like they're both 20 plus point guys.
Yeah, they've both been
Pavel
solid
Zacha's
for
a
what they
pretty good
are.
passer,
Yeah.
pretty solid playmaker. Coyle can score. Coyle can make plays. Not as much recently. Coyle's been a little bit of a cold streak, but um, there's dysfunction right now, and I have to hop on the soapbox here it's going to segue us into our preview. I don't find myself in a position with the Bruins where I am legitimately angry that a player has not been called up. Georgi Merkulov is 23 years
Oh,
old.
yeah, you've been preaching for this guy. I've seen on Twitter the last couple of weeks.
I was excited about this guy the second they signed him because I did not expect him to leave Ohio State despite being a 19, 20-year-old freshman at the time, a little bit older at Ohio State. He scored 20 goals and 12 assists in that 1 year at Ohio State. Comes into Providence, 5 points in 8 games at the end of that season. Ryan, Georgi Merkulov has 85 points in 103 AHL games. Not
Pretty
easy to
good.
do for a young player. He has 7 goals, 7 assists, and 14 points his last 10 games, 6 goals in his last 6 games. Ryan Mougenel,
Also pretty good.
according to my guy Robert Chalmers on Twitter, he heard from a Leafs Nation reporter. I don't know how close this guy is into Mougenel. Maybe they're playing the Marlies recently. That Mougenel said he wouldn't be surprised if Merkulov gets a call up soon. I don't know what you're waiting for at this point. Jake DeBrusk is underperforming. Like, Oscar Steen's great on the right wing, but he's a fourth liner.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Lauko seemingly has been unleashed to fight. I don't know if you saw that article from Connor Ryan. He's like, I've been unleashed to fight. Maybe he's been kind of like, hey, don't fight because you got the facial injuries and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He can bump someone down. The way he's playing, the way if you watch, he's got a very Nikita Kucherov. I'm not saying he's going to be Nikita Kucherov, but that like slick left-handed one-timer release. Russians are very similar in how they shoot the puck. There is a legit potential NHL goal scorer in Georgi Merkulov that they're holding down in the minors for conceivably no
reason.
real reason that I can gather. When you are getting, I like JVR, but he's not like a consistent scorer. Jake DeBrusk has been inconsistent. Heinen's great, but he's not this like lights out, pretty consistent bottom 6 scorer. If Lauko and Steen, you have to put the pressure on at some point with a guy like Georgi Merkulov. He is the perfect spot for this. He's not a Fabian Lysell who's a little bit younger and has some development. Georgi Merkulov, from the time he was 21 and came in 20, maybe 20 at the time he came out of Ohio State, proved he can score in the AHL. He has 85 points in 103 games in the AHL. This isn't new. It's established, and it's getting even better this year. He's scoring in bunches. He's scoring consistently. He's a presence in Providence. The Bruins have multiple games going on in this roster freeze. I think before this roster freeze that leads to like early January at some point, I don't remember the exact date, I think they should have absolutely called Georgi Merkulov up, especially when they are not a consistent scoring threat right now. They're not.
Yeah,
We
outside of
saw
Pastrnak,
a billion scoring chances against the Wild, and a lot of them came from Pastrnak, and he scored 2 goals in that game.
Mm-hmm.
He was your scoring in that game. Besides, what's his face? Who scored the other one? Marchand. I shouldn't have said what's his face. For the love of God, I'm going to get irrationally pissed if he is not called up soon after the roster freeze, because he's 23 years old. He's mature enough. Does he come in as a pure scorer right away? No.
Probably not, no.
It's not like you have this 20-year-old who's lighting it up randomly in the AHL. He was like, maybe we give him some more time. Georgi Merkulov is 23 years old. He's played a year in the USHL. He's played a year in college. He's played 2.25 years in the AHL. Call him the fuck up. You need depth scoring. Stop this. And Matthew Poitras is in Canada.
Yeah, so
Merkulov can play center.
Yep.
For the love of God.
It's an even 1-for-1 swap. It makes a lot of sense.
For the love of God, give him 2 weeks. At least. See what you have. Because you should pencil him into your lineup at this rate next season. See what you have. I have never been to this point with a guy to call up with the Bruins in my life.
It's
85
weird.
points in
New
103
uncharted
games.
territory.
Largely as a 21, 22-year-old. What the fuck are we waiting for? I'm so beyond sick of it. When you're not getting enough consistent depth scoring, it feels like the old days. Minus, the whole Krejci factor, not giving him wingers. We have seen times when this team needs depth scoring. They need it again. Things are starting to slip. It's not, the early first couple months of the season where they were somehow on a better pace than last year. I hop off the soapbox. Merkulov, get him here as soon as possible. Grizzly did not practice today. He's day to day. So we'll see how he looks ahead of the Winnipeg game tomorrow. Winnipeg's pretty good. I expected them to make the playoffs this year. Didn't expect them to be this good. The Pierre-Luc Dubois trade is looking way better for them. Gabriel Velarde, despite missing a bunch of games, is outperforming him. Rasmus Kupari has been a nice player. Good little move for the Jets. Gabe Velarde, I believe, is on the top line with Ehlers and Scheifele. That trade could be a heist, which is bizarre because a lot of people expected Dubois to be very good for the Kings. That's a good test, really good test. They kept Hellebuyck around, a lot of turmoil. Maybe they move Scheifele, maybe they move Hellebuyck in the offseason. Not the case. Right now, the Jets look like a cup contender, and this is a good test for the Bruins. They played Minnesota this time at Minnesota. Matt Zuccarello, the since injured Matt Zuccarello, who didn't play against the Bruins. Don't know if he'll be back. Still leads them in points. Vinny Lettieri, old Italian guy, speaking of Italians with Tommy DeVito earlier, was injured by a hammer right on the inside of the boot where there's no padding on the hockey skate. Haven't seen any injury update, but have to imagine he's got a little bit of bumps and bruises down there. Brodin and Spurgeon are still out and projected to be out at this point. But Brock Faber, I don't know if you watched the game. Brock Faber, number 7, legit stud. Like already as a 22, 23-year-old playing 28 to 30 minutes a game. Phenomenal defensively. Kind of like a lower end Charlie McAvoy to me. Won't have the offensive ceiling, but he's physical when he needs to be. He's very good defensively, can move the puck. Brock Faber is a gem. He was acquired in that Kevin Fiala trade, along with that first round pick. He's a legit future number 1 defenseman potentially for them. But that helps when you have a guy like Jared Spurgeon out. Should be another decent game against the Minnesota Wild. And then you have Buffalo. Rasmus Dahlin carrying the load there, 27 points in 32 games. Jack Twin looks to be back, so that's some scoring touch they desperately need. And the Sabres are underwhelming this year, but they can score. Jeff Skinner, I believe, and Jordan Greenway were activated from IR today, so that's something to monitor as well. Connor Clifton's been struggling, so who knows if we'll see him again. Maybe he's a healthy scratch, but it's a good balance for the Bruins. At this point, like in a year like last year, maybe like, okay, they can go 2 or 1. Maybe that's not the case this week. It's a good test for the Bruins. They got some things to figure out. Get Marchand and Zaka. Or I don't know why I keep saying Marchand. Maybe just talking about the Bruins. I keep saying that instead of Zaka and McAvoy. Got to reestablish things. Grizzly might be banged up. Maybe Lohrei steps in. Who knows? But
Figures it out.
It's been a different year lately with the Bruins. They're not as much of a surefire thing as they were last year, which is good. Maybe the adversity helps them, but it's a weird spot. They're in a weird spot.
They need something, man. It's getting tough. Like,
yeah, luckily
I get every year can't
man.
be the blowout that it was last year, but like I
No.
texted you, some of these games are getting real aggravating. But like they're all going the same way too. Like you're in it, and then something it feels like late just falls apart every time, and that's like the most aggravating thing. Like Also, finish a game, just again, nitpicking. Like, finish a game in regulation for
Yeah,
a change. It's been like,
I
what,
always get
4 games in a row that, yeah.
I always get so nervous.
Mhm.
Um, it's Christmas movie draft time, Ryan.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if I want the first. Are we going, if, say, you get the
want
second
to do
pick
coin
back
flip
to
again?
back? Yeah, we'll do a coin flip for sure. But how do you want to set it up? Is it just you pick, I pick, you pick, I pick, or does the second pick get back to back picks?
I feel like you pick, I pick would be better.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah,
Okay.
no snake drafts because it's
Yeah.
two people.
It's
It
dumb.
doesn't make
Yeah.
as
I
much
just
sense.
thought the same thing. I just wanted to double check
Um,
though.
I will flip the coin and send you the screenshot for proof.
Okay. I need to win one of these
Um,
coin tosses. I feel like I never win these
we'll do
things.
the coin toss. I'll take heads.
Okay. We know what it is. Drum roll.
It is tails. It is tails.
Yeah. See,
You
now
get
I gotta
first
play.
pick.
Oh, I gotta play against you though. I don't know what. I know what
I will
my.
send the screenshot for proof for the
Okay.
haters.
I know what my personal number one is, and you know what it is too, if you've known me for as long
Okay.
as you have. But the problem is it your number one? And I don't think it is. And I know it's probably not the people's number one, but because it is
Very, very curious to see what you pick because I think I know,
you
but I
should
have
know
some
what it
doubt.
is.
I have some doubt. I think
I
you might surprise me.
I'm gonna take mine. I'm gonna take my number one. And I'm gonna go with A Christmas Story. I watch it every year. My mom hates it. My dad loves it. I've watched it growing up as him. I know what you're gonna take at one. So go ahead. And you're probably gonna end up with Elf, right? I don't know who you're cheering on. There's nobody in the room with you. So
I am thinking Elf
it's yeah.
because Ryan, because if you took one of the Home Alones, I was going to take one of the Home Alones,
Okay.
the other one. But I have to take Elf.
If I took Elf at one, what would you have taken at two? This is what's gonna kill me right now.
Home Alone.
Okay, so I could have gotten,
Easily.
I psyched myself out, is what happened.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it all day. I'm like, if I don't take Elf at one, he's probably gonna take it, but then I feel like he might get me right back
I
because he
have to
knows I
take
like A
Elf at
Christmas
one.
Story. So, all
A
right.
Christmas Story. I like A Christmas Story. I do.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't connect as much as it did for some to me.
See,
It's an
that's yeah.
enjoyable watch. If it's
Mm-hmm.
on, if people want to watch it, I'm with.
Yep.
I will happily watch it. It just didn't connect like the Home Alones, the Elves, A Year Without a Santa Claus, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tip too many picks here, but it's Elf. Elf
Okay.
is a classic. It's one of Will Ferrell's best. I think James Caan is a perfect casting as his dad.
Yep.
I always forget the actress mom's name. I just literally heard it last night. I always forget her name. Um, I think honestly the casting of Michael is perfect. Like he's kind of like a little shit stirrer, like
Mm-hmm.
always like a little grumpy a little bit. Then he warms up to Buddy. Zoe Deschanel, love Zoe Deschanel. Just an awesome movie. A
Mm-hmm.
very quotable movie. A great ending. Great like main climax sequence. It's just like it's almost as
It
perfect as
is
a
a
Christmas movie can
top
get.
tier Christmas movie for sure.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
I
And the
hate that I
deleted
asked because
scene,
I.
the hockey deleted scene when
Mm-hmm.
Buddy's playing hockey is a great
Yep.
deleted scene on the pond. Just a top tier. It'll never change. I've watched it at least 100 times. It's a no doubt classic for me.
I hate that I asked what you would have picked because in the back of my mind, I knew it. If I went Elf at one, there was a chance I could have got A Christmas Story with my second pick, and that makes me angry now. But you said it. That Christmas Story hits different for me because I watched every year with my family. I don't know. Have you seen the new Christmas? I think it came out last year, 2 years ago. A Christmas Story or a Christmas
No, I
Story.
won't watch it.
It's terrible. Don't watch it. That's
Yeah.
my spiel on that.
There's this point, this far away from the original, no chance I watch it.
We
No
watched. I'm like,
chance.
oh,
I
let's.
probably watched the original like 2 or 3 times,
Mhm.
enjoyed it. That's all I need. I don't need to see a sequel. If I want to watch the original, I will watch it,
Mhm.
but I won't go out of my way to do it. But I respect it.
Fair enough.
It's top tier.
Yep.
It just didn't resonate with me as much as some.
Okay, so that I'm going in that direction. I have that discussion now that that problem to deal with because I think you did tip your hand a little bit on some of the picks. You have a very similar, I feel like, top like 3 to 5 that I do. And two movies you named are both high on my list. One does not resonate with me as much as it probably does for a lot of people. So I'm probably going to give you a powerhouse 1-2. And if you ask my brother, you would have a powerhouse 1-2 because this other movie is probably one of his favorites. I'm going to pick my first animated one though, mainly because I personally think it has the best Christmas song. The Heat Miser part
Fuck,
slaps.
I knew I shouldn't have said
Yep.
it. I knew it in the moment.
Yep. I'm gonna go with The Year Without a Santa Claus because again, I think the Snow Miser, Heat Miser, those two go hand in hand. Two of the best Christmas songs are just catchy songs. Now that I said it, I'm gonna have the Heat Miser song stuck in my head for the rest of the night, probably into tomorrow.
Oh, it's the
Um,
best.
but
It's
it's a
the
great. Yep.
best. Those songs are the best. I watched it every year for like a decade when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Once a year with my family.
It's one
We
of the
loved
go-tos.
it. Oh, anybody who has not seen this movie, because I don't feel like it's completely mainstream, it is a wonderful, wonderful movie. And the Heat Miser and Snow Miser songs are truly phenomenal,
Yep.
super catchy. Number two for me is absolutely Home Alone, without doubt. Just a top tier movie in general. Home Alone changed the Christmas movie game forever. A phenomenal movie. Macaulay Culkin changed the trajectory of his career. Got a little bumpy. He's recovered. He's
Yep.
with Brenda Song. Didn't know
Didn't know
that
that at
whatever
all. Yep.
happened.
Until you sent me
Him and
that
London
a couple weeks
Tipton.
ago.
Like, come on, like those personalities. You have Ditzy London Tipton on Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Don't know how she's like as a person. Seems like she's not quite as ditzy. Shout out to her. Big fan of the show. Home Alone is truly not even Christmas. One of my favorite movies ever. It is incredibly rewatchable, incredibly enjoyable. Joe Pesci is phenomenal. I never remember what Marv's name is. A classic wacky duo. Like it's 100 out of 100. Movies in general, if you're rating it on a scale of 100, it's 100 out of 100 every time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect movie. I will watch every time I see it.
As I said, my brother would probably be all over your list because I think those are probably two of his, like you said, just favorite movies in general. Doesn't even have to be Christmas movies. So very solid picks. This is where the draft gets a little wonky because now I'm trying to figure out on my list what direction you would probably go in. I have classics. I have plenty of the animated ones. I don't know which direction I want to go in. Because again, a lot of these like fall into my personal preference, and with how bad I have done in the voting with these
Yeah, you have to
drafts,
kind of
part of
balance
me,
it.
part of me wants to try to play into the fan part of it to see if I can finally get one of these over you. So that's kind of where my head's at right now. And like I said, I don't know what you're gonna do with your next pick. Like I want to try to hit a home run with all of these. I'm gonna go way back. I want to stick with the animated classics, though. I don't think you can have Christmas without a Charlie Brown Christmas. So that's where I'm going to go with my third round pick. Maybe a surprise to some with some Christmas movies out there. But again, I'm sticking with the classics. And how could you not have? That was the one I think we waited for as a kid, like every year when that was on TV to watch a Charlie Brown Christmas. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Wow,
Also
surprised me a little bit with that
teaches
one.
you a good life lesson. So how can you not like a Charlie Brown Christmas? Curious to see what
That
direction you
surprised
go
me.
in, though. Like I said, these rounds get tough.
I really want to think this through and not just make a hasty decision.
I have fallen into that trap before when we do these,
Um,
as I did with my first round pick.
yeah, Charlie Brown Christmas is classic. I never got super into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm between like two names here. Oh shit, I just accidentally exited out of the outline real quick by accident. Tries to exit out of a different tab.
Decision's really messing with you right now.
I think both of my picks have inherent risk. So I'm gonna
Okay.
go with the one I feel a little bit better about,
Hmm.
and it's Home Alone 2.
Two Home Alones. Wow.
They're both
I only had the
they're
first one
both
on my list. So the
they're
second
both
one, good.
phenomenal.
Yep.
They're both phenomenal. First one better, but like Home Alone 1 and 2 are so synonymous with Christmas. I would feel wrong not taking them due to their iconic nature
Hmm.
on top of how much they have shaped my life and made me laugh.
Okay.
I have to take them both. I can't take the risk of giving one to you
Hmm.
because I think Home Alone is very polarizing, not polarizing, but popular. I have to have them both if I can, and I'd feel stupid if you took it with your third pick and I
Okay.
let it slip because there are some people that think Home Alone 2 is better than Home Alone 1. I don't think so, but
Okay.
I think it's pretty close. I think they're both fantastic. I will say people hate on Home Alone 3 too much.
Is that the one where they change? I feel like I definitely haven't seen Home Alone 3. Is that the one where they changed pretty much everything up? It's not even the same
It's
cast as
different.
before. Okay.
It's weirder, but it's enjoyable.
Big
It's
Home
not
Alone guy. Okay.
close. It's not close, not even remotely close to one or two, but it's enjoyable. It's
Okay.
enjoyable. It's fun. Doesn't hit the same, but I think people talk about it like it's the worst thing ever.
Hmm.
Home Alone 4
Didn't even
is
know there
the
was a
worst
Home
thing
Alone
ever.
4.
I watched Home Alone 4 when I was like 10 years old because I got the box set for
Hmm.
Christmas. There was four of them. I watched it. Dude, I was like 10 years old and I was like, this is the
This is
worst thing I've
horrible.
ever
Yep.
watched. It is unwatchable
I
in
don't know a
every
lot
sense.
in life as a 10-year-old, but I
Home
know this
Alone
movie
1 and
sucks.
2 are two of the better movies I've ever watched, two of the more enjoyable movies I've ever watched. I have to get them both if I can. I feel wrong if I did it and you took it with your fourth pick. I would feel wrong.
Okay. Fair enough. So my fourth one, I think I got a pretty good direction of where I'm going here. I don't know if I want to pick the animated version of this movie though. Maybe that gives it away, or the real life version of this movie. Um,
Oh.
I think the real life version of this movie is probably more quotable. It's
Oh,
more
speaking
well
of
known.
Ovechkin, real quick, he just scored the overtime winner.
Oh my
We
goodness,
reverse
we
jinxed
jinxed
him.
him.
We
Yeah,
reverse
it's
jinxed him.
jinx
Shout out
on
to
that.
us. Credit to us,
Um,
Ovi. Credit to us. Remember the little guys.
yep, absolutely. But I mean, this is one of this actor's, I feel like, best performances of his career. I'm going to have to take How the Grinch Stole Christmas, though. Jim Carrey, absolute classic. Eye roll. Was that because you don't like that movie? You think it's a bad pick, or
No,
is that one of
I
the ones you wanted?
love how the Grinch stole Christmas. I was hoping to get it at 4 or 5.
That's see now I got
That
to get
one's
back into your
tough.
mind. And here's a trivia question though for you.
Man.
Because I like I said the animated version, not the newer one, the very old one, and maybe that gives it away. But do you have a guess on when the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the animated one, if you want to take a guess, what year that came out? Because I looked it up the other night when I was making my list, and I was shocked. It was as old as it was.
Okay, so I feel like you saying that
It
has me having to
gives it away.
adjust. So I was thinking like 60s.
Okay, do you want to give a guess?
Now I'm thinking
It's no,
1948.
it's oh well, I won't go. It's not that old.
Okay.
Your hint is your think 1960s. You're on the right track.
1967.
Ooh, 1 year too late.
Wow.
1966. Yeah.
Close.
Did not think it
Close.
was that old. I was
See,
like,
you
wow.
tricked me. You tricked me. I was in the
So I
60s
I
until
did kind
you
of help
said
myself
you
then. That's
kind of like
good.
you were kind of like, oh, like it might be older than you think, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I thought you were
Um,
gonna go like 70s, 80s though, which
yeah, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is fucking it's another one. I
very
rewatch
quotable,
every
very
year I
funny.
can.
Yep.
Jim Carrey, perfect casting. Cindy Lou Who, the whole fanfare of it all, the goofiness with the dog and all that. Who I'm drawing a blank on the name of because I
Max.
haven't watched it in a couple years. Max.
Mm.
Just a classic. I've watched it so many times. Um,
See,
I can't believe
I
I
thought
can't
you were gonna go in
believe
that direction in your third pick, and I when you didn't, I'm like, ooh. I might
I
have one
can't
on them.
believe my third pick
That was
is
gonna be my
available.
fifth. Yep.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation
It
is
came
a
down to
classic. I gotta be honest, era specific. Haven't watched this as much as some people have watched it. Always
same
enjoy
boat.
it. Super funny. Super classic. Like one of those movies. First movie you think of a Christmas movie, a
Yep.
classic. I probably watched it 4 or 5 times, maybe 3 or 4, but thoroughly enjoyable. But for me to take it early in the draft would have felt like a poser pick, so I
hmm
didn't do it. Um,
Would have been
but
my
it's
next pick if you did
iconic.
not take it.
It holds the test of time. It's undeniably fantastic.
hmm
But of course, era specific. I can't pick it over Elf or Home Alone.
No, God
Movies
no.
I've watched many, many, many more times. But an undeniable classic is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Not a big animated
Fantastic
Christmas
film.
guy, are you? You don't have one yet. I still
No,
got
no,
a
no. I would have
bunch
taken
of.
The Year Without a Santa Claus. It's one of
That's
my
right.
favorite ever.
Yep.
Um, but
All right.
now I have to think a little bit about my
That
fifth.
makes my fifth a little easier because I did still have National Christmas Story, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation on there. I would have definitely taken that. It would have been criminal to take it as the fifth and final pick for me. Because like you said, it
I
is a
know what you're
classic.
picking for your last one.
Do you now?
I do.
I still have three of the ones that I'm looking to take.
I know what my fifth pick is if you don't take it.
It's tough because I have classics, but I have enough animated movies, I think, on mine. I don't want to take another one, so I'm going to cross off Rudolph and Frosty were two of the three that I was looking at.
Mm, classics in their own
Were
right.
those the ones you were one of two of those are what you were thinking I was going to take? If you think you're in my head right now.
No,
Okay.
no.
I'm going to take the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. It's a very good movie. Was that
Not
what
what
you
I thought you were gonna
No,
take.
what did you think I was going with?
I thought you were going with I already drew a blank. Sometimes I have bad short-term memory.
You didn't know at all what I was going to take. You
No, I
lied to
did. I did.
everybody.
Honest to God, I did, and then I just lost it because I was debating picks in my mind. So
Okay.
I can't say for sure.
The other movies,
Um,
maybe it'll jog your memory. I had on my list. I had Scrooge with Bill Murray. But again, I feel like that's one of
never
those
seen it.
ones. Yeah, I was just gonna say that's one of those ones where it's like era. Maybe not one of the more. I had A Nightmare Before Christmas. Maybe a controversial one because some people love it, some people hate it. A friend of mine, and when I showed her the list the other night, was like, "That movie is horrible. I would not pick that if you asked me." Die Hard, I don't consider a Christmas movie. I texted you about this the other night, so I was
Yeah,
not going to pick
I
Die
don't
Hard,
know.
no matter how many.
I've maybe seen Die Hard once. I'm sorry if that offends anybody.
Mhm. I'm in the
I
same
just
boat. I
can't
can't
do it.
remember the last time I've seen Die Hard, to be honest.
It's just, it's one of those things. It's era specific. I'll watch Die Hard someday for sure, but
Mhm.
it's never something I got super into, you know?
I had the Polar
Credit to me for
Express.
being honest,
Fair, yeah, absolutely. I had the Polar Express, which I personally find to be an incredibly overrated movie. I've seen that movie
Yeah, it's
once.
really solid and
Yep.
really enjoyable when you're younger. When you
hmm
get older, you kind of like, loses its luster.
Yep. And then, like I said, the other one I had was the 1966 animated How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but I couldn't put two How the Grinch Stole Christmases on there. I felt like that would be
Oh, Ryan, but
kind of
I
cheesy.
will. Yeah, but I will.
Well, there you go. You needed an animated movie, so
I did. I love, love, love how the Grinch stole Christmas. It's so iconic.
yep.
The first Grinch I think of is that
That is
1966
the
Grinch.
that is the first one.
Oh, the classic, the gifts you see nowadays. It's awesome when you're a
That is one of the
kid.
ones that
You kind
stand
of
the test
hate
of
the
time
Grinch when
for
you're a kid.
sure.
You're like, why is he
Yep.
stealing the presents? Like,
Yep.
don't steal my presents. Santa's got to
Mhm.
give me my presents. Santa's got to give me my new hockey stick or whatever,
And you grow up a
or a
little
new
bit, you're
baseball
like,
glove.
shit, I might be the Grinch at times.
Yeah, like
Like,
what if the Grinch
if
actually shows up some year?
relate,
How the
yeah.
Grinch Stole Christmas to not be on this list would be sacrilege.
hmm
I feel obligated to take it, and I feel obligated to take it not only because it's iconic, because I enjoyed it very, very much as a kid. I still do. I'd watch it any time of day. Um, sure, there are names um we left off, like It's a Wonderful Life. I think some
Like,
people will
that's
be
a
upset
timely
about.
one, though, because I've never seen that movie.
It's it's just out of our era, man.
What's the other one? Miracle
It's from
on.
1946.
Yeah, it's an old movie. What's the Miracle on
You
whatever
can make the
street
case
one? Like,
Miracle is a Christmas movie. They have the Christmas party.
true. Yeah. See, that's the thing though. Like, that's why I don't consider Die Hard. Just because a movie takes place at
Yeah.
Christmas time doesn't mean it's technically a Christmas movie. Like, there has to be
Honorable
some
mention
element.
Miracle, just because it's fantastic, and they have the Christmas party and the snowball fight in the football game.
Here's the
Um,
question though: which Grinch you take if you had both on the board still, the live action one or the '66 animated one? Because the Benedict Cumberbatch one, I
oh
feel like
fuck,
we're not gonna even consider that one.
I don't even know it exists.
Yep, that's
Um,
like came out a couple years ago. Was not very good. I had a
I
friend of mine
have to
tell me.
pick the animated one by a hair
Okay, that
for
surprised me.
nostalgia. It's more iconic.
Okay,
It is. The Jim Carrey Grinch is fantastic. When you think of the Grinch, you think of the animated Grinch. That's how I look at it.
fair.
Um, I think we both crushed this draft. I think it's going to be very,
Not gonna sleep easy though,
very.
knowing I could have had Elf and A Christmas Story, both 1 and 2 on my list that I made, or 2 and 1, depending on how you coin
This
toss it.
has to be the most divisive draft poll
I think
ever
so.
for us.
Hmm.
I mean, these are two heavyweight lists.
Yep.
Like I said, It's a Wonderful Life might upset some people, but like from 1946, guys, another touchdown of Puka
Can't say I
Nakua,
was
huh?
around to see that one, and
No, no, no.
yeah,
I
haven't.
might have watched it once, and if I haven't watched it, I don't think I have. I'm sorry to offend, but I mean, we crushed this. Like
I think
these
so.
are two great lists. Um, Maybe this will be our TikTok return. We'll post a little poll. If this doesn't get the people going on TikTok, I don't
I
know
don't know
what
what.
will.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Good
fact that
luck.
we haven't posted in a while will affect the algorithm. But a loaded episode going into Christmas, closer to 3 hours. Um, it was fun. I'm so excited for the Christmas season. I imagine a lot of you listening are. Imagine Brian is. It's a great time of year. You can find us wherever you find your podcasts. You can rate and review on Spotify and Apple. You can find us on Twitter at Mike_Cratty, at Ryan_Salvaggio, and the show at Sound Cratty Pod. Please do give us a rating and review on Apple and Spotify if you feel so inclined. You can follow Full Press Coverage on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, and why am I forgetting one? I feel like maybe I'm not. The Full Press Coverage app, rather. If you want to download the app, check that out. We're everywhere, pretty much. You can find us, plenty of options for you, new or old listeners. We appreciate you. We're heading into the new year. We'll have one more episode before the new year next week. We've been doing this for so long, wouldn't have it any other way. Super thankful for you guys, for Ryan, for everybody who listens, and it's this every week. Get the scratch the sports itch. Talk about random bullshit too. We kind of keep it loose here. Ryan, do you have anything to say? I'll add you into
Uh,
the outro here
no, I mean you hit all the nail.
ahead of the Christmas season.
No, you hit everything on the head. Like, it's always been quite an enjoyable experience right from day one. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, fuck yeah. We'll have one more before the new year. It's cliche to say new year, new me, new podcast, whatever. We'll keep it moving. We'll hope 2024 and beyond, going beyond next week as well, will be good for everybody. Stay safe. Holidays get crazy. If you need to take an Uber, take an Uber. Be smart. Nobody wants to have bad news around Christmas. Just be smart, have fun, be responsible. That's just the best way to do it. And we'll talk to you next week. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, anything you're celebrating around this time of year. We'll talk to you.